electric.
Let me go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly. Let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. It's my time, watch me build another life. Find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. Adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions. Your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric. I get lost in your eyes.
go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. It's my time, watch me build another life. Find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure.
Welcome everyone back to the Wild Rift Open 4 by FSL, of course powered by Intel and Yahoo. My name is Infinity and beside me is Riku. And Riku, we're now in the grand finals day.
Woo! I know, we're at the very last day of our Wild Rift Open 4 and it's amazing. We saw a lot of crazy matches yesterday. We saw a very crazy long 36-minute game. Wild Rift, by the way, it was so intense. We got we got a full BO3 yesterday, and now we're at the semifinals into the grand finals day.
Yeah, and right now what we have for the semifinals is MXH Lotus Ladies and Grindsky Eris, as shown on screen when it comes to our brackets right now for Wild Rift Open 4. And for the upper bracket as well, this is the upper bracket. We also have Sharper Esport versus One Snap Catalyst. So 4 of these teams are battling it out to go to the grand finals.
Oh yeah. We're heading over to our BO3 semifinals, and of course grand finals will be a very intense BO5 for sure. And again, when we look back at the matches that we had yesterday, there was a reoccurring theme, you know, when it comes to top laners being amazing at what they do with a big 4-1 split push. So I'm curious to see if the trend is still going to follow, or we're going to see very scary 5v5 team fights instead, like what we saw between, you know, One Snap Catalyst versus MDH yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the split pushes are just annoying to play against, especially when it comes to objectives being available in the map. And something that I'm very interested to see, Riku, is
Yeah?
if it's going to be a Grindsky Ares versus uh one snap catalyst type of matchup. Because as we
True.
all know, one snap catalyst has taken in GSGA before, which was the SEA Games representatives for the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and Ayapi has taken her spot in Grind Sky Aries. So it's going to be an interesting scenario if it comes down to it for the grand finals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, there's been a lot of like roster shakeups when we look back at the SEA games and as well as FSL. So, I mean, this iteration versus, we could see a potential grand finals, just as you said. You know, familiar ex teammates, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. But before we actually go in too deep into grand finals, let's talk about the series that we have on our hands right now. It is Grand Sky Aries up against MXH Lotus, ladies. And Riku, we've seen MXH Lotus perform yesterday. For Grand Sky Aries, we still haven't seen them yet. And I'm curious, what can we expect coming into the series?
I think it's one of those things where the previous experience and the previous, especially when we look at Grind Sky, right? They have the gold medal in the bag, so I'm sure that's gonna propel not only their confidence but of course the experience as well. So I'm so excited to see them perform in this BO3 series.
Yeah, and as always, when it comes to League of Legends Wild Rift, or pretty much any single tournaments out there, experiences are actually a great ideal situation
True.
for you because you have that foundational knowledge of what would be the draft, what would be the picks, what are the strategies that we have to do, and on top of all that, you also have like the team coordination, like how familiar are you with your teammates?
Yeah, I think it's having to, what do you call this, be very familiar as you've been like practicing. You know their habits, you know their style, you know how you mesh well as a team already. So it's very important when it comes to how long have you guys been together as a squad, alongside the achievements that you have achieved together. But I think you mentioned strategies, Infinity. I mean, yesterday we saw a lot of varying strategies. I mean, aside from the 4-1 split push that we saw, there was a lot of 1-3-1s involved as well. You know, we saw Camille and Zed going 1-3-1. But we also saw Rogi's Kale as well getting ahead in the game. I mean, I wouldn't say we had doubts, but we were like, this 4-man late game scaling type of composition, will one snap survive the 20-minute long haul? But no, Rogi was able to get early game kills and therefore propel the Kale into that didn't have to wait for late game basically to be late game. So that was very exciting to watch. So we could, like, especially the fact that we're in the last day already, this is the time where they can show some of the things that they've hidden back in day number 1, and maybe we get to see more surprises today.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially coming into the series, I think the favorites will be Grind Sky Aries, considering that they are consistent when it comes to top 3 finishing in all FSL tournaments so far. So can they perform up against MXH Lotus today, as we are moments away from game number 1?
Oh, I'm so excited to see this draft. Like, what are we gonna get? What are we gonna see banned this time? Because when we look at the bans, the very consistent bans are Olaf and Lee Sin as well. The Lux has been performing quite greatly yesterday because of the flexibility and the fact that they can they can flex it into that big double support that we see with the support items now being in addition to this patch rather.
Yeah, and look at Grind Sky Aries. They're locking on Karma immediately, and we all know when it comes to Ayapi, Karma is her signature pick.
And that's very exciting, right? Because the Lucian is now banned on their side. So what do you want to pair with Karma if you want to be aggressive? Or we've seen it being paired with poke champions like Varus or the volley spam like the Ashe. So it is highly possible for them to pick that as well, because the weakness of an Ashe and a Varus is their lack of mobility. So that is, Karma will compensate for that weakness.
Yeah, and right now coming through for the first 2 picks for MXH Lotus, it's Vi and Rakan. We saw this duo yesterday perform quite significantly well on this team. So how would Grind Sky Aries counter this out?
Yeah, the CC lock, because it's so easy. It's a tap and tap stun basically with your assault and battery, and Rakan will follow up with the grand entrance. So very heavy on team fight ting so far for MHX Lotus Ladies. For Grindsky, I like the Sin Zhao pick because, you know, it's that big disengage. If ever MHX decides to get double poke themselves, then it's a really good answer. But instead, they're doubling down on this all-in with this Akali pick.
Yeah, and right now Akali is in a very good position in the current meta. You have the Riftmaker, you have Lichbane to be able to have the maximization of your damage in the Rift. And when it comes to top lane as well, Akali has Shroud to be able to just maneuver around Renekton. But now coming through for the 4th and 5th bans, we're seeing a respect onto an Alistar here, Riku.
I think the reason, interesting, because that means they're basically saying, okay, that's going to be a Karma mid lane, or they just want to play safe and make sure that we don't want to assume too much. Let's ban something that can hard engage, because so far there's not hard engage on the side of Grindsky at the moment, unless they pick up a Leona, unless they pick up like a Lux again, where they get the binding in and then you can combo it, because Karma alone cannot engage for the team. So I really like this approach coming from MHX.
Yeah, definitely. And you see also the respect coming in from AP champions, considering that GS Eris are still going through with Renekton and Xin Zhao so far. If Karma goes for support, it would not be a damage dealer for GS. And we're locking on to the bans right now. Vayne and Saya removed away from MHX.
Ooh, very interesting. Okay, so now they both banned 2 different kinds of AD carries. Like, okay, they're both auto attack AD carries, but one is short range and one is long range. So now, where's MHX going with this draft? They're really saving it for their AD carry. I love this. They're trying to play safe. They want to make sure that whatever we pick when it comes to AD carry, because we don't have disengage, will be self-sufficient and will be safe. Nautilus, though, again, Grindsky has a lot of mystery. There's still no answer if whether or not they're going for an AD carry route or they're going for a double support route. And that's going to be the answer, as Zed is going to be in the mid lane.
Who's going to be the bot lane, though?
It's
Is this
Karma,
going to be a
Karma
Nautilus?
Nautilus.
Karma?
Yes, it's the double support. The double support with the support items to rack up gold and to basically passively get gold, right? And now Caitlyn, I love this from MHX because they know the Grindsky, a 4 melee composition. Karma, I would say she's very mid-range. She's very short-range, rather, and therefore can count as melee. So Caitlyn overrides that range, being almost untouchable. So now, how does Grindsky attack this backline, knowing the fact that the Caitlyn will be safe? So a flank would be possible. That means Zed will have to do an extra good job to see if she can reach the backline.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned Zed, because we have to look at Zed into punishing this backline champions coming in from Lotus, right? It's only Caitlyn. If they remove Caitlyn, they're only having to battle up against Rakan, Akali, Vi, Riven, and with Grindsky Eris' draft, this is going to be easy if they remove the marksman. So it's all hands on deck here for game number 1 in the semifinals. And Riku, what can we expect in the early game, mid game, late game?
I'm gonna look at MHX Lotus Ladies, where they're gonna have priority in the lane. We're looking at Rakan and Caitlyn just safely whittling down early turret plates just because they have range advantage and just because they have again, that range advantage, rather. That's why you also use the Caitlyn to basically just attack your towers with ease. And the absence of an AD carry means the absence of a possible 2v2 because you lack the consistent damage. If Karma misses her Q, that's basically it. You can't damage as much. So I feel like that is my expectation. And if Vina gets a lot of these early turret plates, then the team fights later on. The contest on Rift Herald will be difficult unless AA, she's able to reach Vina in the backline.
Alright, early game is the name of the game for Lotus in this game number 1. We're now here in the Rift for the semi-finals. And yesterday, Riku, we talked about how a lack of marksman will have a much more difficult time when it comes to objectives. And I don't see any marksman for Grindsky Eris.
Absolutely. That's why they will need Rift Herald. Potential
Early
first
engage
blood.
coming from both teams.
Yeah.
Type of situation wherein there would not be any kills thus far because Nautilus is tanky, Karma has shields. It's pretty much safe for both dual laners.
And going back to what we brought up earlier, the fact that they don't have any AD carry Infinity is that, yeah, they will prioritize Rift Herald 100% of the time because as most of them are very short range, they can't reach the tower. Caitlyn's just gonna poke them out. Just gonna wave clear. So Rift Herald will be 100% prioritized by Grindsky.
And as we're seeing right now, right? What you said it a while ago, with the third game, Vina will have the advantage and will have the lead because of the range. And now it's consistently lane priority by MXH Lotus in the bot lane. And now with that said, where would Grindsky Eris look forward to in other lanes? What would be their lane prio in this game 1?
Top lane, 100%. We've seen Ngokbe's performance on the Riven. She's able to sustain herself in the lane, win 1v1. And I think that would be the next worry. The fact that she's paired with Mei on a champion that is very easy to execute wise when it comes to CC, that means they can funnel all their gold while Vina and Huyen are safe in the lane. It feels like, you know, Mei at this point is going to focus a lot on mid lane and especially top side. So Mei doesn't have to worry about too much rather at bot lane.
So yeah, we'll see how the rotations are for the jungle because that states if you're going into top side for Grindsky Eris, you want to put in pressure on that point. And I think at this point in time, having 2 supports, you're heavily relying on those team fights.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
but
wow,
right now,
like that.
going through, speaking of which,
Wow.
they're engaging, they're going aggressive. That's a 2-for-1 trade already in this fight. Grindsky Eris takes the prio bot lane.
That's an amazing hook by Ayapi there. Able to catch out Vina, who doesn't have flash anymore, who doesn't have exhaust, which means Ayapi can try again, can see and find an opportunity, see if she can get a hook. That was really nicely played, and the fact that they get 2 kills on that is super good as well.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is not something that we expect. A while ago, we were talking about how Caitlyn and Vina would have that potential to just punish UG Min with Ayapi in the dual lane, but this changes everything. And on the other hand, it's going to be AA with the ultimates onto Akali. Gonna be enough though to punish close from the shurikens.
Very close. I feel like she was so prepared to go, oh! Hellgirl.
Forcing out the Dominus.
Yeah, Dominus is gone. And I think so far, you know, Ngokbe has shown her prowess in the top lane, especially as the Riven. Very self-sufficient. Without the assistance of Mei, she's more than fine. And even getting priority over this lane. We talked about how Grindsky badly needs this Rift Herald due to the lack of AD carry that can take towers. So her, Ngokbe, getting priority is such a big deal for MXH Lotus.
Yeah, and right now, having that top lane prio for MXH Lotus means that if they do take the tower up against Hellgirl in this early game before 5 minutes, that Rift Herald contest, that Rift Herald objective for GS Eris is going to be significantly much harder to take down. We'll see how this will turn out as Grindsky Eris looks to have a prio bot lane, just the jungle roaming around consistently, forcing out the flash from Rakan.
Ooh, that's going to be very important for the next fight, which is going to be in a few seconds, right? Because Huyen, yes, Rakan, all in, you can join, attach yourself to your teammate, but a flash is incredibly important to make a play. Flash grad entrance is going to be a very key factor in engaging. Let's see though, AA is over here. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, she's just going to clear the wave, help clear the wave, basically.
Yeah, and on top of all that, you see the resets coming from the dual lane. Because you think about the objectives coming up on 15 seconds. So the mid lane coming in bot lane means that Grindsky Eris wants to have prio on objectives. They could easily roam around the ocean break. They could easily go to the Rift Herald if it comes down to it.
Most likely as Chia already staying here, but the Rift Scuttler was secured by Mei. That's gonna be a bit awkward for them to stay over at that side. Look at Mei now, charging in. Nope, not yet. This is important! A fight's coming, Infinity!
Yeah, and MXH Lotus doesn't even want to get the dragon. Instead, they want to contest the Rift Herald. They know that they could match it up because they have Caitlyn. Or as of yet, they have the
Here it
that
is!
they need Grand entrance coming through. The double knockup coming in from MXH Lotus. It goes across. That's massive. Huracan is already down. The jungle is gone for Lotus as well.
They're
And now
also
it's
up.
an advantage for GS Eris. They're pinning down
They got it!
Bear, and LOTUS steals the Rift Herald. But what cost them? It's 4 lives up against GS.
That was a crazy team fight. Huyen had an amazing brand entrance, but unfortunately no follow-up. It felt like MXH saw the Rift Herald incredibly low, so they decided to prioritize most of their damage to secure the Rift Herald, and that is why Grindsky was able to win that fight, as they decided to trade and prioritize the fight. But here's the thing, Ayapi got all the kills instead. A triple kill on Nautilus. That'll make her tanky though.
Killer Nautilus coming through GS.
Killer Nautilus. I love the sound of that.
I mean, attack, having an anchor, just smashing around the enemy team.
That sounds painful.
We'll see.
Ayapi with the zone.
Absolutely. And they're on the river, looking on the ocean break.
Woo!
Zed coming into the backside, gets the kill onto Mei. It's a good target for them. They remove the jungle to be able to get that steal.
Ooh.
And now Kali, though, from the backside, being able to assassinate UG Min.
Woo!
The Rift Herald spawned in the mid lane, though. This would put MXH Lotus in a map control advantage, but they were not able to convert 4 kills in trade, and that is consistent for GS. You have objective, but what cost, Lotus?
The user Giang Nim, she wanted to sacrifice her life and auto attack the turret to make sure that the Rift Herald finishes the job. But unfortunately, the damage was just too much from Grindsky, and therefore, just as you said, it's still up. Look at Ayapi saving the cannon minion to give to Yuji Min, or rather, to not destroy the tower. But it feels like the range from Dina is just too much.
Yeah, and this is crazy, right, Riku?
Yes.
Because even if Grindsky Eris doesn't have a marksman, they have a double support, they're all melee compositions, well, aside from UG Min, they're still able to take 2 out of 2 objectives in the first 5 minutes. Well, Lotus took the steal, but regardless, they were able to get those 4 kills, they were able to translate into the Ocean Drake. And I don't know how they're able to just have this foundational advantage in the early game despite that.
I think it has something to do with sustain. The team composition of Grindsky is very heavy on sustain when it comes to shields, when it comes to tankiness. So if Lotus, in a 5v5 standpoint, doesn't focus fire on one single target, they're gonna have a big problem. The shields are gonna come in, and as well as the sustain that's gonna come in, and because of that, you're just gonna get overwhelmed. And take note, a Caitlyn doesn't really have innate anti-tank capabilities in her kit. There's nothing that can help her assist with that. So we're talking about getting more items in that department, because you have to prioritize raw damage first, and then maybe you get execution calling, maybe you get mortal reminder later, but that's going to be a little bit later in the build path. So I think that's the reason why they're having a difficult time. Take note also, Akali at this point of the game, you're going to be up against tanks. You don't have that shred just yet. You're going to do all your combo if ever you go to Ayapi, if you go to Hellgirl with Dominus on, this is not going to do too much. And then the shields will come in, destroy your burst.
Yeah, it's just annoying to deal with for the side of Lotus. Right now though, top 1v1 Hellgirl being very aggressive up against Knockbit, but T-Mobile just secured the kill. And now
oh no! The knockup!
Goes for the knockup. Tier 1 dives under the turret, now forces out the quickness to go for Charm to delay the fight, but Lotus lost 2 of their members, and now Ayapi moves down on 1. The stun comes through, the CC chain is flawless, and Akali falls down.
Okay, she's fine. May's coming in though. Here's the thing. Wait, AA coming! AA coming! She's
They're
coming!
really pushing it through. They're not stopping.
That's
The
why.
fight's not over. And AA comes to the backside, goes for the ultimate onto Vina. That secures the kill. And now May's the only one alive. They're diving under the turret. They want the ace.
Wow.
May cannot run. And that will be the ace for GS.
She is on a rampage! Look at her! A very smooth Zed performance. We'll see if there's gonna be another kill. Mokbe, do you want this kill?
Get
does.
the trade, the stuns, the knock off, the Blade of the Exile, everything's being poured down onto AA. That's a 1 for 5.
It's really, yeah, that's a really nice shutdown coming from Mokbe. But at the same time, Grindsky doesn't change the fact that Grindsky has been winning all of these team fights. Now they have to reset quickly. Nicely done by Yuji-Min to dodge everything. But Rift Herald again, the utmost importance for Grindsky for them to siege.
Yeah, what we're talking about, Riku, the experience, the foundation, the knowledge comes through and shows up here in the semifinals. Comes with a big value, and now Grindsky Eris looking to go for the steal. They get the Rift Herald, and now Lotus is pinned down under Rift Herald. They have nowhere to go, and now it's GS taking down 3 members, and Nokbe just has to flash over the wall. Hellgirl, what a play from GS.
Yeah, that was a 4v5, and take note, they were all in the pit. And guess what? Guess what skill? Guess what ultimate fits in the pit? Transcendent Embrace. It was just the perfect location to blanket everyone and then CC them and then just chain everything down.
Yeah, and on top of all that, you also have Sinjao ultimate, right? You also have Nautilus ultimate in an enclosed space.
Yeah.
You're pretty much dead at that point.
Very true, bestie. And that's why Grindsky's team fighting power is very effective in these close spaces. Hellgirl wants to run away. No dominance yet!
Nice, Hellgirl. Nokbe is just on a rampage here in the Rift with those solo kills. Now Hellgirl is down. Nokbe is able to clear the way, but is that even enough to catch up with an 8k gold deficit?
Exactly. MXH is very aware that they cannot fight Grindsky in a 5v5 standpoint. Nokbe right now will have to split the team. How do you split the team? You split push. You force someone to be separated from the squad. But thing is,
dead. Ultimate faces Enchan to disregard the ultimate and AACC chain coming from Rakan. Massive, but the quick shadow movements of AA. The outplay secures May down. And Lotus, you know, you want to split push? You could, but you can't.
yeah. I mean, that's investing 2 members to distract 1. And in the end, Grindsky is able to take their second dragon, able to lose their jungler. And again, you need an additional damage dealer for sure. If you want to invest. Nice move.
Ana saving Caitlyn's life.
Wow.
Cost of himself. Now that Rakan's dead, it's member advantage for Lotus on this fight. It's 3v3 as Hellgirl is on the front lines with Dominus. Putting out a lot of damage. Man, Wall Breaker goes for CC. The knockouts are there though for Lotus. They cannot do anything at this point. In Akali, for the stasis Enchant can't even save herself, and now Nokbe is the only one alive with inhib 30.
Yeah.
Grindsky Eris is pushing through.
Nokbe is the only one, yes, here to defend, but can't do anything. They're aiming for the Nexus. No.
It's low.
Oh.
These are fantastic, but GS has to retreat.
Yes.
But the death timers are coming out soon.
Yes. It's a lot of exclamation points, a lot of danger pings, so I'm gonna back away, play safely. I mean, they're already in the lead. You don't want to give shutdown gold to Lotus. You want to keep solidifying your lead. Low-key MVP Infinity is Yuji-Min for sure. Every single team fight, she would save her tether to Gyeongnim to make sure that she's not hidden in the shroud. The tether cancels out and spots you as long as the tether is there and is finished. So Gyeong, no matter how much he tries to stay in the shroud, she will be spotted, and that is always reserved by Yuji-Min to make sure that the Akali will never escape.
Yeah. And we may have discussed, Riku,
Yes.
the Karma cannot engage, but Yuji-Min is built different.
Oh yeah. She built different on this Karma. Absolutely scary. Her Transcendent Embrace timings are amazing, especially that hit. And right now, AA too. She's doing a lot of work keeping Nokbe on a tight leash. She is very equipped to 1v1 her right now.
Yeah, and Lotus can't even do anything. They just have to retreat every single time. And look at the force that Grindsky Eris is doing on top side, and as well as the bottom lane. It's just all around fights occurring time and time again. And now with a 1v1, Lotus just can't do it. And Hellgirl just jumps over the wall. They're very confident they can do this. Caitlyn forces out to be golden, but can she survive? The answer is not. She's down, and Lotus capture retreat. The inhibitor on top side is being destroyed as Ribbon comes through. Rockbit trying to change things around, but a double kill already for Xin Jiao. Chia 1 turns things around for GS, and Ayapi on the front lines. This is a killer Nautilus, and Nexus is now exposed. Zed coming through with the ultimate onto an
Rampage.
She's down, and Akali goes golden, but the Nexus can't do that, and it is exposed as Grindsky strikes first in the semifinals.
What a dominant performance from Grindsky Eris. Look at them, so confident. They're able to win all of these team fights. They're able to get these objectives and very confident in their calls as well. Again, it all started with that big triple kill coming from Ayapi, and then Chia won with a lot of these kills. Everyone did a phenomenal job. Transcendent Embrace from Yu Min, AA with all of the Zed killer plays. Chia won all of these objectives and these fights, and Hellgirl holding her own at the top lane, especially when we saw Ngok's performance yesterday, and Hellgirl really was the big gatekeeper at the top lane.
Yeah, and just look at Min and Ayapi specifically. Min, 26 assists, 1 kill. Ayapi, 22 assists, 4 kills. And that's like 98%, 97% team participation overall in average for both these players. And that is the power of 2 supports coming into their draft. They want team fights, team fights, team fights. When it comes to 5 minutes, they're constantly roaming.
Yeah, and it's constantly roaming with the shields, with their tankiness, while being the meat shield for the team. I mean, we talked about how much of a sustain Min and Ayapi provides, and especially if you add in Hellgirl as well when she's on Dominus form. Just out-sustaining MXH's composition in general. Like, for example, Gilnim, Vivina, they want to go in, or rather they want to attack. One combo, not enough because of the shields, because of the mitigation that Grindsky Eris has.
Yeah, and at this point, if I'm Lotus, I think there's a consideration for a Karma ban in Game 2.
Oh yeah, I think that's super important because the fact that you can flex it, and if you want to play an assassin that wants to be hidden and reposition, you can't escape Min's Karma. She's gonna focus on you, tether you, and make sure you don't run away and you're spotted most of the time. So that outplay potential of being invisible and then just repositioning will be out of the table already.
All right, so all eyes on the draft for game number 2 later on. But before we jump into game 2, as we're already on match point for Grindsky Ares, we're going to take a short break. I'm Infinity, and this is Riku. Don't go away.
There's no doubt, gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. watch me build another life, find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in
Welcome back, everyone, to the FSL Wild Rift Open 4, powered by Intel and Yahoo. And we're now here for the semifinals. Once again, game number 2, match point already for GS Eris up against MXH Lotus and Riku. We've seen a killer support in game 1.
Oh yeah, Ayapi on the Nautilus, triple kill at the very first fight. I think that's a very telling sign on how the team fights were gonna go. I think Grindsky has displayed that they are unmatched with this type of composition with the big 5v5s. If there's a lot of sustain on the board and a lot of shields on the board, so there needs to be more damage, I suppose, and focus fire on the side of MXH Lotus for them to immediately burst someone down, rather. So I'm curious to see what the changes are, because it's, you know, one of the do or die, you know, this one game away for Grindsky Eris to move on to the grand finals. But of course, Lotus wants to keep their tournament life still alive, and they need to win this one game to take it to game 3.
Yeah, it's either what you stated, like they have more damage, or think of a way to counter these all melee compositions or all engaged compositions. And yesterday, I think we've seen a Veigar coming
Oh
through.
yeah.
Like, is that an option for them?
YES, yes. Yes, that is an option. Another anything that can zone melee champions, anything that has a lot of zone control in general. So we're talking about Veigar, we're talking about Ziggs as well. So a lot of poke. Melee champions will have a very difficult time entering these fights if you have a lot of poke in general, and you just whittle down their HP bars before they can even engage in the fight. I think that's an option. Veigar, Ziggs, Ashe as well, Varus, Jace, all those are very decent options for poke compositions against melee, full melee comps.
Right, because there's a lot of ways that you can go about it, right? Like, if you want to match up when it comes to team fighting, make a team fight composition, match it up. Are you wanting like more of a poke, as you stated? Are you going for a split push? Like, what specific strategy would you want for game number 2? Especially that this is a lot on the line for MXH Lotus, considering that we are here for the best of 3 series in the semifinals. So one more lost, they're out. They're not going to be able to go to the grand finals. So it's really, really difficult at the moment to think about the picks, think about the bans, as we are going through it pretty much soon.
Let's go. We'll see what the adjustments are going to be, because yes, as you said, Infinity, it is a do or die situation. And just as you said earlier, Karma now being taken out, and Xin Zhao as well. Chia once Xin Zhao was very deadly earlier on, so we'll see now. A lot of picks are now open in general.
Yeah, and Nautilus is still open for Ayapi if ever they want to pick it up, but MXH Lotus, ladies, going to pick up Morgana for themselves this time around.
We still don't know if that's going to be a double support. Morgana Kassadin is open! And Lucian! Grindsky, they're starting really aggressive in the draft. Not only aggressive, but confident. They're very confident in this draft. They're showing, because of like game number 1, we know we're very confident in these fights. We know we're going to win these skirmishes. So now this Lucian pick makes me wonder what support they will accompany the Lucian with, because they need something that enables aggression. And I was about to say Lux, but now MHX pretty much grabbed the double binding. Dark binding and light binding, endless CC. So Grindsky Eris has to think twice before they aggressively dash in.
Yeah, we'll see. And this might probably be the first time we've seen a Kassadin here in Wild Rift Open 4 from yesterday and today.
Yeah.
When you talk about support, Riku, we're seeing Nami locked in.
Okay, strong 2v2 still, right? You've got a lot of heal. You've got the tidal wave for that big engage, movement speed, everything else, a bubble. So I think this is a very good pair to enable aggression. My biggest issue would be if it's a Morgana Lux lane. You can't do anything much because of the intense wave clear that they're gonna bring to the table.
Yeah, or possibly could still go to the jungle.
True.
I don't know at this point. Lotus ladies, still a mystery, but if ever Morgana goes to the jungle though, this might be a dangerous spot for them, because they still don't have a front line. They do not have a tech that can peel for the rest of the team.
Yeah, so now that's why Grindsky is going to be removing these tanky champions. Look, they're removing Set at the moment, assuming that Mokbe is going to be playing that. I assume she can still go for the Riven or the Camille as well. Imagine having to pour all your eggs on one basket, which is Mokbe. Imagine you have Black Shield. Imagine you have also the Light Prism coming from Lux. So there's a lot of shields. So they're basically doing a similar thing that Grindsky did. We're going to have a lot of shields. We're going to have a lot of CC and try to out-sustain you.
Lotus could go for Garen. This could be sort of a counter onto Kassadin because you can silence Kassadin and just punish.
True.
And be a tanky champion that could peel for the rest of the team. So what will Lotus do? But at this point, Grindsky Eris on their fourth pick, still a mystery at this point.
Yeah, they're lacking the jungler and the top lane here. The Jarvan 4, ooh, I love this because Morgana and Lux are very on the low mobility side.
Mobile.
Yeah, so you have to consume a flash. Flash is gone, then you're trapped pretty much in the Cataclysm.
We'll see.
Prevents an Olaf from getting
This
picked. Wait,
is-
never mind, it's banned. Hey.
Yeah, it's bad.
Joke.
It's a prank.
Oh!
Oh! No way! No
Wow! This is
way!
deadly.
Want that early aggression, Riku?
Yeah, because Grindsky has to put on their dancing shoes. They cannot be hit by any CC at all, or else it's GG. Remember, we talked about Camille, right? From Mokbe. If she does lock this in, then it's perfect. You Black Shield onto her, hook shot into the Hextech ultimatum. But Jax works too. There's over. Okay, we're going with the
Okay.
Camille. So she'll be unstoppable. Single target city is the play for MHX Lotus. There have a lot of pick potential on this comp. So you make it a 4v5, make it a 3v5 before an objective spawns. That's how you win objectives. That's how they're going to get ahead. Intense wave clear as well. Will Grindsky be able to compete with a wave clear? MHX, obviously, hands down, they win in that department.
Honestly, I think they could. Because you have Kassadin, you have Zed. And three of the backlines for Lotus are squishy targets. Corki, Morgana, Lux. These three champions doesn't really shout tankiness, defensiveness.
True.
So it could possibly be for GS being able to match up against Lotus.
Yeah, they have to strike first. MHX has to strike first. All of their skill shots has to strike first. And I don't think QSS can save them because a Blitzcrank hook into binding, any of the binding light, may it be light or a dark binding, is going to spell disaster. So I really think Grindsky should be extra wary. They're going to be all jittery with having to move and just play these mind games to deter any sort of amazing prediction from MHX.
Yeah. And this is what we talked about a while ago. Morgana jungle for MHX Lotus. We'll see if that could be matched on par with the Jarvan 4 from Chia 1 from GS Eris. And UG Min, no more Karma, but this time around, it's a carry UG Min. Now we've seen her Karma. What about Lucian?
Yeah, I'm so excited to see this because I think it's going to be a challenge because you're up against Huyen and Bina with the Lux and Blitzcrank. So if you get hit by one, you get hit by everything. And it's going to be a bit risky to use your dash aggressively because that is basically the go signal for Lotus to be like, okay, Lucian no dash, it's time to go. So I think the movement, the mobility that Grindsky has will be used more on a defensive maneuver, like the Rift Rock will be used. You got the shadows from AA. You've got the dashes perhaps. And the movement, the innate movement speed that Ayapi gives as a Nami to the entire team will be absolutely crucial to dodge all of these skill shots.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see a huge dependence on the support at this point in time. I mean, Ayapi is a solid support, especially when considering the Game 1 performance that she has had here for FSL Wild Rift Open. As you stated,
Oh, it's a
Hope
tough.
City, single targeted CC City
Yep.
for the side of Lotus is a scary scenario to match up against GS.
Yeah, that's why it's gonna be a very I know the composition that Grindsky has is innately like mechanics heavy, you know, but I feel like because of the addition of a lot of these skill shots and CC from Lotus, it is more extra to be mechanics heavy. This game in general.
I think at this point the dependence would rely on Mai or Corky for Lotus. But he has to scale up if ever it comes down to it, because Morgana, Lux will be that setter, but they have to have the consistent damage. And Corky would be that option for Lotus to rely on, to have a huge dependence on this game too.
And I think now... Wait, it might be Seer first. Oh!
Oh, the flash burned.
He's okay. She's okay.
The Ignite's not enough.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's safe.
She's okay. But I think there's going to be a potential second gank because Mai doesn't have Flash and Ignite anymore. So imagine AA comes level 5 soon, I assume. Potential dive is happening in bot lane. No.
Could be.
No.
Flag and drag just to retreat. But both of these teams already know that the jungle is just covering the bot side of the map, so that is an information that is crucial for both these teams at a moment.
Oh!
Again, goes for the hook, flag and drag to follow up. The knockoff is important, but not being able to convert into a kill. And so far, no first blood as of yet, despite our consideration for an early aggression for both these teams.
Yeah, no one wants to die. Very crucial game number 2. Again, Grindsky match point. And Lotus needs to win this game to survive this series, in this BO3 series. And so far, you know, we have seen an example already of the hook into the light binding. Imagine if Mei was there with the dark binding as well. That would be the insurance for them to get that kill. And we haven't seen that just yet because we haven't seen any team fights. We haven't seen the objectives being set up yet. But I can't imagine that would be the setup of Lotus. Once you see the timers kick in on those pits, you see a number, you gotta go. You gotta get a pick.
Ooh, pulling into the overdrive. Looking to put down an 8A, but we have a lot of shadows to utilize for Zed. And that's the thing that I'm fearful for when it comes to Lotus fighting up against GS. Even if they remove DG men, you still have to be careful of Hellgirl and AA.
Ooh.
But right now, Cataclysm followed up by the Tidal Wave. That's a lot of CCs, and Blitzcrank cannot run. And now it's Vina, the only one standing in the bottom lane.
She's gonna go.
Chia 1 looks to engage. Flag and drag knocks up. Light binding to go for the root. Morgana is here to rescue. Dark binding is ready. Whenever it comes down to a fight, the bubble is there, but no full-on engage. Tier 1 retreats.
We'll see now because Yuji Min and Ayapi have been getting priority. Wait! Nokbe!
Hellgirl looking to get that kill. That mark is already there. Nokbe uses up the Hextech ultimatum, but that just delays time, buys time, but that will be the second kill for GS in the camp.
Has been amazing on this set. And the fact that whenever she would leave the lane, like, okay, she lost this one whole minion wave, it's okay, but so far Mai hasn't really been getting those turret plates as she was already like clearing the wave before going home. Package being picked up, 10 seconds on the clock already. And we'll see because Hellgirl manages to get priority on towards the Rift Herald area of the map. We'll see if Grindsky prioritizes that. This is an Infernal Drake.
Listening though, the package is already there. Tidal Wave to disengage. Flash over the wall for UG
Nice
Min.
flash.
Calling forced out Cataclysm to follow through. Forcing out the flash for the Corky. Now
One more
Jarvan
auto.
in the front line. Might just be a kill coming in from Luck to the final spark. And now that removes the jungle from Grindsky, it's ready for the AD of Lotus.
One more auto attack. Vina was so low. And now no jungler. Chia 1. Grindsky has to buy some time and make sure no objectives are going to be started by Lotus. Lotus is a bit low though on the mana department.
Oh, AA! Once again!
AA.
Those sneaky maneuvers, being able to convert into a kill. But a 1v1, Nokbe looking
Whoa!
for that trade, but under the turret is a bit scary.
Shadow!
AA still forces this down. Tactical ultimatum under the turret that will secure the kill, but Nokbe is very low, but they will not push through, and GS just lost their mid laner.
And it's a 4v5 once more, but take note, Hellgirl doing a lot of damage on towards these towers, on towards these waves. And I think Grindsky can still fight this. They're starting the Rift Herald once more.
Yeah, flag and drag back away. But
First
not
one.
again, but Hellgirl right now reducing a lot of damage onto Blitzcrank. And
Wow,
Guy
bubble.
just diving onto jungle enemy territory, but
Ooh.
losing a lot of damage with the Gatling gun alongside the rocket barrage. Chia 1 goes through
Hey, hey.
it, pinned down though. But now it's AA coming into the rescue.
Wow.
Some cleanups, but the question is, how much kills can you make? It's already a 3-4-2 trade. A bit risky. Going for the reset instead.
It was a 4v5. It was a 4v5. On the other hand, May was able to steal that Rift Herald on their side, so they were able to deny that away from Grindsky, but it doesn't change the fact that Grindsky still is able to get First Blood Tower and lose a bit of control over that Infernal Drake. Ideally, Chia!
Oh no! Oh no! Chia 1 just went in with a flag and dragged into her death. That's the rip over the Blitzcrank hook. And now AA looking to try and trade, but the Exhaust is there. Light Binding would root her down. That's already a triple for GS. They lost their members, and they might lose the Infernal Drake.
Remember, Infinity, if you get hit by one, you get hit by the next one, and you will fall. And the next one, right, there's Dark Binding, Light Binding, and then the hook. Wow, that's just so much. And the fact that Ngokpe wasn't there as well. Very busy with Hellgirl for sure, but imagine if there's Hextech Ultimatum, there's the hook shot stun. You really cannot move. You really cannot. So at this point, again, that was the first display of what would happen if one hits you. Everything hits you, and you cannot survive. So that big domino effect that we saw earlier, you know, Chia comes in, gets CC'd, AA comes in, gets CC'd. You cannot lower your guard against Lotus's composition for sure.
Yeah, and on top of all that, you have to put into perspective as well that Hellgirl was on top lane. Yuji-Men was on top lane. So Grindsky Eris was blind going into the river. It was 3v5 at that point, or 3v4 because Ngokbe was going on top side as well. So it was innate disadvantage, and then when Chia 1 died, it's pretty much just a no-go already for GS.
See now though, Rift Walk and the flag and drag. Oh! Bot lane.
There's a fight occurring in the bot lane. We did not even see that. AA going for the flank there, being able to secure Vina.
And I think this is the best part, right? Them splitting the triple CC lock of the hook shot, not hook shot, the hook, the light and dark binding. If you separate the three, then you're fine. It's not an instant death, at least, if you separate them. And the biggest counter as well to these CC champions, especially as a Blitzcrank who likes to roam around the map, is having an extensive vision control in the map, especially when you're a bit overextended in the lane. So I think Grindsky is adjusting well. Even though they lost that Infernal Drake and the Riverside fight, the gold is still stabilized. In fact, they are still in the lead for couple of hundred gold. So this is still okay for Grindsky. But gotta be careful. As the game progresses, timers are gonna be crucial, death timers are gonna be crucial. We'll see it topside though with this rotation.
Yeah, but Hellgirl, ultimate back to retreat. The 4-man roam coming from Lotus on top side, and followed that up. Grindsky as well went into the 4-man on bot side to be able to clear the turret.
Wow.
Right now, Meteor Enchant up against Lotus. Gets vision. Hellgirl is still safe there, but secures the first turret top. Grindsky looking to pressure mid lane as Knockback comes through to the rescue. Hextech ultimatum onto Chia 1. Flash over the wall. And with Nye just going through to the kill. Now Yuji-Men is in danger, but AA comes to the backside. Goes for the flank on the left. And now
Yo, she's so good!
That's a great tidal wave with Ayapi coming in as May just has to retreat. 4-man roam from GS.
She's so good, Infinity! You saw how hard Lotus wants to lock her down, but AA so slippery with combined Yomu's Ghost Blade, combined with the shadows, combined with her swerving around. This plays a lot of mind games. Like Lotus is like, do I dark binding? Do I light binding? Can I hit her? Cannot. Like AA is doing so well in these skirmishes, in these fights, that it puts Lotus in a position of whether or not should we use the light binding on her or should we use something on an easier target to land to, because she's been like dancing around.
Oh, had to automate him onto AA. Just the right time to shadow over the wall, but follows up with package from
She
May.
lives!
Flash from AA. She has to use it to go back to retreat. T1 with a catalyst and locks on the two though. Now Mai is dead. Huyen is gone. Nokbe, Vina, and May just retreating
Wow.
under their turret. But Vina has to go
Meteor.
to buy in the late time. But AA just secures it. Hellgirl dives on her turret. That's the ace for GS.
And they get the Rift Herald and they'll get the push. They're gonna get towers up until the best is Inhibitor Tower even, because they still have the AD carry. They have Yu Min still pretty much alive. That was an amazing fight because the fact that Lotus invested so much on AA and she still didn't die. Remember, Infinity, you were just talking about how slippery she is. You still need more things, which is easier to execute, which is the Hextech Ultimatum. And yet she still lived after all through that. And that is a very great sign on AA's performance on the Zed.
Yeah. And AA is just
Oh!
crazy when it comes to these champions in the mid lane. Very, very slippery, as you stated.
swear.
And just a quick fact, how AA practices, even on events, even on grand events, she plays League of Legends Wild Rift. So when it comes to not just experience and knowledge, but when it comes to her active practice on these champions, it's nuts.
It's very apparent. Her mechanics are on point. We'll see though. Dragon, look at AA. She wants to do this flank. She's trying to find a position here.
Gets one, Chia one
Oh!
is in danger.
Steal!
And there you go! Lotus will be able to steal Mountain Drake, but at the cost of 2 lives. But the fight's not even over. Grindsky just pushing through. Chia one with a flag and drag secures the kill, and that's another ace for Grindsky. And now this might be the game-ending fight for GS.
There's 20 seconds on the clock, more or less. The best thing that they can get is an Inhibitor Tower and control over the Baron buff. They do have a lot of waves here, but again, Inhibitor Tower is going to be out already on the base. Unless they force another fight. She is a bit not on the good side for her HP though, so I assume they're just going to back away. Yes, 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 yes. Play safe. That has been what Grindsky has been doing rather in even game number 1. They already have the lead. Let's just play it safe. Let's play it by the book.
Even though if they did not get the Nexus at this point in time, they regained back 8k gold lead here in 14 minutes.
Yeah, it's insane how much of a lead they've garnered. Ayapi is over here. Gonna be a bit of that human war. I don't think she's gonna get spotted yet. Ngokpe is gonna be busy with the Krugs and Raptors. Oh, she's moving!
Disconnected. Oh, she's back!
She's back! She's back! She's back!
Oh, but Gokbe will be able to sight her down. That's a ultimatum. Ayapi cannot run. AA cannot do anything.
AA's there.
Match up against Gokbe. Might be able to go for that trade. 1v1 here in the bottom side. Gargoyle and Chen already used up. But that's it. No trade.
Pretty tanky. Or rather, Ngokpe is a bit on the tankier side, so the damage wasn't there just yet. Just trying to scare away. Mike!
Oh no, that's 3-man you're fighting up against. Yu Min.
Dash?
Golden Dodge. Tier 1 comes to the rescue.
Wow!
Catalyst
She's
locks
still
it onto
alive!
May, gets the kill.
What?
And Wu Yen. What is
What?
happening? Yu Min. Dash, dash, dash. And she's still alive. And now Wu
Wow.
Yen Chia 1 secures her. It's crazy how Grindsky plays. Their mechanics is insane, is on a different level.
Yeah, they're styling right now. Oh! Oh, I have
Have to take that kill on the tier 1. That's needed. That's important.
Yeah.
If the jungle's gone, Baron Nashor will be open. But
Whoa!
even then, tier 1 is still alive. Look at that! No, this is impossible. Grindsky will be able to take the ace once more in this game.
I thought the sweep was gonna be enough, but Chia managed to get HP from the honey fruit there. And now they get the Baron, and now the jungler's still alive. MXH Lotus trying their best to hold on to this game, but Grindsky right now have everything to owe this series to take them to the grand finals. What is the damage?
Hellgirl will be able to go through with the ultimate, gets the kill, 1 down, and now Hellgirl's looking for more. Wu Yen delays it. Goes for the CC. That's enough to buy time.
Oof!
The damage is still too much. Tidal wave is there.
Cowgirl!
Cowgirl just wreaks havoc under the base of MXH Lotus. 2 man already down, and now AA comes in. Now the ultimate is there.
Wow.
Cowgirl just has too much damage. Lotus
They're ending!
has to defend if they can. Cataclysm is already there. Huyan receiving the whole damage coming in from the calling, and Grindsky will secure the semifinals as they go through and win this series. It's grand finals, Riku.
It's grand finals, Infinity. Grindsky Eris with a big 2-0 finish in this BO3 series. And now we have one finalist named for the BO5 grand finals later. Crazy game. A lot of confidence, a lot of style. And that was the expectation that we had in this series. Like, Grindsky's composition in general forces you with a big mechanic ceiling. But with the skill shots, with the CC, you cannot be hit by one. And that's exactly what Grindsky did. He's able to dodge everything and win all of these team fights. They be styling, Infinity. They showed off their mechanics in this game number 2.
Yeah, and it's not just, mechanics, high level. It's insane level mechanics. It's on a different type of pedestal here for Grindsky Eris that they're showing here for FSL Wild Rift Open.
It's, yeah, like the I think my favorite a big highlight is AA definitely on this Zed. She's able to basically bait out a lot of these skill shots, a lot of these bindings, a lot of these hooks, and just basically swerving around with the innate movement speed, Yomu's rather in the shadows, and just styling, showing off her mechanics. She's super good on the Zed, and I am so looking forward to see more of her assassins in the grand finals.
Yeah, and you're talking about AA. I want to talk about Lucian as well. I mean, the latter part of that fight when she was just dashing around.
Yeah.
It's a 3v1, and then she's still alive. Like, how?
How is the question, right? Because we talked about previously, like, QSS. I don't think that's going to do anything because, like, you get hooked. But it was the hourglass, to buy some time for cooldowns and stuff like that, to dodge things. And it's incredible. It's incredible how Grindsky performed. And that's why Grand Finals is going to be extra exciting for sure because, like, it was a dominating 2-0. And so far, at least when it comes to that series, it felt like they weren't challenged, like they weren't tested yet. They were very confident that even though they lost that first dragon in the game, they knew that they can win the team fights later on.
Yeah, and speaking of grand finals, let's take a quick look onto the bracket for now to see like where the road is going for the grand finals. And are you seeing what I'm seeing, Riku?
I'm seeing what you're seeing. Yes, it's One Step Catalyst versus Grindsky Eris in the grand finals.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hype. It's gonna be spicy.
Yeah, it's former teammates who will be battling in the grand finals here today for Wild Rift Open 4. GSGA going into One Snap Catalyst. Grindsky Eris, her former team, is battling it out. Who will reign supreme here in Wild Rift Open 4? We will find out later on. We're gonna take a short break. Don't go away. I'm Infinity, and this is Riku.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out. no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine. Yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions. Your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric.
There's no doubt, gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. It's my time, space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On the new adventure. You find me dancing on my own, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You find me dancing on my own, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On the new adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric. Lost in your eyes every time, there's no turning back. Swear I ain't got a chance. Had me caught up in you since the night on the terrace, yeah. You had me falling fast. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions. Your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric, got double vision. I get lost in your eyes every time. Electric, intoxicated by you, yeah. It's electric, intoxicate me like you do, yeah, like you do. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. It's electric, you spark like chemical reactions. It's electric, your aura strikes like lightning. It's electric, no, I ain't got a chance.
there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. On a new adventure. On a new adventure. Let me go, it's my time. Watch me build another life. Find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. You find me dancing on my own, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You find me dancing on my own, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric. Lost in your
Welcome back, everyone, to the FSL Wild Rift Open 4, where queens are born. This tournament is made possible by Yahoo and Intel. And this time around, Riku, we're now here for the grand finals, and it is down to the last hurrah. It is between Grindsky Eris up against One Snap Catalyst. And Riku, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to this best of 5 series.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. BO5 Infinity. And the fact that both of these teams, Grind Sky and One Snap, they performed really well, especially yesterday, and we've seen their prowess. They're able to get all of these dominating 2-0s, and it's a very big showing on how powerful they are when it comes to Wild Rift. And now this is the biggest test today in the grand finals of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4, and it's BO5. There's a lot of room for adjustments this time around. The meta, the series meta is gonna evolve. Let's see if drafts are gonna be pushed to their limits, because so far, it feels like both One Snap and Grind Sky have been, I've been very, I wouldn't say comfortable, but there's room enough to be like, all these flashy plays. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a lot of champions that you can put out, and the story here in the grand finals is not just mere two teams battling it out to try and hoist the championship title. These two teams are defending champions, which is One Snap Catalyst, which was the former Chuaa, and Grindsky Aries being the SEA Games representatives for the Philippines priorly this year. And on top of all that, there is two former teammates that will be fighting it out. Ayapi prior before is on Chuaa, now on Grindsky Aries. And right now as well, Mavis, this is GS Gia, now in One Snap Catalyst, formerly Grind Sky Aries. So a lot on the line here, and the storyline in this grand finals is amazing.
I know it's gonna be it's gonna be very exciting. Having to evolve from your previous team and now evolving in your new team. So there's gonna be a lot of adjustments for sure, and I think there's gonna be it's gonna be very exciting because again, it's a BO5. And there's been a lot of these roster changes, so we'll see how it's gonna evolve. How does the team dynamic change, and how will these picks? Because on the other hand, we saw AA earlier, who had a phenomenal performance on the Zed, and then yesterday we saw Rogi on her Kale, who had a lot of early game kills and was just really hitting hard as the Kale. As she was just transitioning over to the mid game, and it felt like the late game already. So I think the mid lane is going to be an absolute it's going to be a lane that we're going to be looking into for sure.
Yeah, and I like how you portrayed, having a lot of these champions, having Zed, having Kale, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of champions being seen in the Rift. And that's also something that I'm looking forward to. What will happen in the draft, the picks and bans, how will it show up? Because there is no one team that showed a very linear pattern sort of formula coming into the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. It's very different, it's very mixed up. And now what will the grand finals look like?
I'm predicting there is a very big possibility we might see 5 games Infinity. There is a very, very big possibility. I can feel it, honestly. And I think this game 1 is going to be very important to set the tone. Is this going to be like what we saw yesterday, where it was incredibly close? The BO3 reached a full game 3. We get 36-minute games because no team wants to let go. Both defense and offense are in equal forms, and this is also because this is a BO5. It's a different dynamic versus a BO3, more leeway, but at the same time, your stamina, your mental fortitude will be tested a lot in this series.
Yeah, and it's not impossible to have a Game 5 best of 5 series, because in Wild Rift Open 3, the third iteration of this tournament, we saw a 5-game grand finals, and it was Chuaa who made a complete comeback in the grand finals. They were 2 games behind. It was already match point, but they were still able to come back out.
Yeah, I think that's also a very a test when it comes to BO5. What happens if you get 2-0 first? How do you maintain your composure to ground yourself, and then secure that big 3-0? Because sometimes the big 2-0 I wouldn't say it gets you like, oh my gosh, we need to win this, we need to win. It sort of like affects your mental. So now we'll get to see that also being tested in case we get one of these teams, either Grindsky or One Snap, get that early 2-0 in this BO5.
Yeah, and even if you get like 2-0, that doesn't really state that, we're gonna win this
Yeah.
immediately, right? Because it also puts on a pressure on you that we're only one game left to get that championship title. We're only one game left to win the whole series. And on top of all that, it may also put you in a deficit because it puts you in a confident state that may produce like a bad outcome or a bad move in the rift. So it's really just a mix of, as you've stated, ideas and thoughts process when it comes to their mental fortitude.
Yeah, it's all about the test, having to test many of these, from the mental state to decision making, strategy, and draft, by the way, is on the way for our very first game here at the grand finals between Grindsky Eris and One Snap Catalyst.
I'm excited as we're already speeding all throughout the bans here, Riku. We have Sinjao, Olaf, Senna banned away. For the side of GS, they banned away Kassadin, Lucian, and Karma.
And these are picks that have been basically picked up by Grindsky Eris in the previous series. Like Kassadin, we saw how Hellgirl was incredibly scary on that pick. And Karma just in general can be flexed with the double support at the bottom lane. Just covers a lot of grounds and covers a lot of melee champions. So now Nasus open! Finally! Earlier it was constantly banned earlier by the previous series. This draft is going very fast, by the way.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you picked out the Nasus, but there's no Senna. So the option was Ashe. But no, GS Ares denies it. They pick up the Ashe, they pick up the Morgana. So what will be left for One Snap Esports to pick up together with Nasus? It's crazy.
Yeah, these are very fast picks for sure. Now let's focus on, just as you said, Ashe just wanting to deny that away from the Nasus first pick. So there is still that big option. As long as Nasus is paired with someone with decent wave clear, Lux is still open. I think that is going to be a key factor, because imagine if you're up against Morgana and Ashe, that's a very difficult lane to maintain priority, or at least deter turret plates to be taken down early. I want to focus now on this Garen pick. It's just a very tanky lane, a tanky pick so far, and the Kazakhs there for that big late game.
And there you have it, a Gragas third pick for GS Ares. And what my thought process is, Riku, if One Snap is thinking of going for Nasus, they could have not just banned away Senna. They could have picked it up first pick, and they picked Nasus on their second and third. But regardless, the 3 picks has already been secured. We're now jumping into the bans once more. Lux removed by GS Ares.
Remember what we said, Infinity? They need something. They need wave clear paired with a Nasus, unless they're planning to put this Nasus top, maybe. But remember, yesterday Navis had an amazing performance on the Nasus to the point that she had the most damage dealt among the team. So now we'll have to see whether or not that's going to be a top Nasus, that's going to be Jonas or Navis. In the meantime, Jace now getting banged. They need wave clear. They really need wave clear here. Varus is still open for the taking for One Snap Catalyst, so that is truly an option as well. You can safely wave clear in a very safe range, so I think Varus is the next best thing.
Yeah, we'll see those that are going to pick it up for themselves, as we have the last ban remaining for this. And just a quick trivia for the viewers watching at home. Navis is GS Gia. The former Grindsky Ares player is now on One Snap.
We'll see how that goes with the roster changes. If they lock in this Leona and Nautilus.
Leona and Nautilus mixed up. I love it.
It's Nautilus now. And I love this so much because you're not going to want to kill the Nasus. You're not going to want to waste resources on the Garen. You want to eliminate Den. You want to eliminate Kazakhs right off the bat. And there's so much single target CC on the side of Grindsky. Crystalline, Arrow, you've got Dark Binding, and the ult coming from the Nasus. And what we talked about earlier, Varus is the next best thing. You want to pair with a Nasus with a wave clear, because Ashe wave clear, pretty scary.
Yeah, Riku right now is a prophet. Thinking about this draft, prophesizing what will be a great pick. We're seeing Varus come through for one snap Catalyst, and now we
No!
have one remaining pick left. And Kale has been seen yesterday, and Rogi performed really well on this specific champion. If they lock it in, they're going for mid-game, late game.
Yeah, this is a big risk because again, red side has that counter pick. They know this is Rogi's Kale, but this time around, who is the mid lane? It is going to be Riven or Gragas. I think it's Gragas. I think Gragas is really good for wave clear, right? I think it's also good for roaming if you want to have a provide CC, if you want to go bot lane, if you want to go top lane. So I think this makes the most sense. And at this point, how do you want to shut down Kale? How do you want to shut down Rogi in the early game? Send an arrow from bot lane to mid lane, and then you flash body slam, and then that's it. That's how you kill Rogi, shut down Rogi while the early game is there. But how does one snap get Rogi ahead? Is that to get these early kills, you have the chain of corruptions as well, but that requires getting priority in the lane, which I think is very possible for Ken.
Yeah, and this is not a worst matchup. This is not the worst mid lane matchup. And I think what Grindsky Eris is doing, like flexibility with the Morgana and Gragas flex, because they could interchange this. But considering they had the Kale mid lane for one snap Catalyst, they were saying, you know what, let's go Morgana jungle with a faster clear than a Gragas. So pretty much just a lot of utilities for GS Eris to utilize in this game number 1. And Riku, what can we look forward to in this game 1 grand finals?
Arrows flying left and right. I think on the side of Grindsky Eris, it is most definitely they will send an arrow to the mid lane to get that stun CC with the Gragas flash body slam, and then put Rogi behind on this Kale, because we saw yesterday Rogi had a lot of early game kills, so they have to prevent that from happening. AA in the meantime, because of these assassins bans, no Zed, one of her best picks here in the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. Now on Gragas, more on the utility side of things, but that doesn't mean she can't assassinate. She has Electrocute. She's gonna carry a lot of burst damage, especially in the early game. So I think it's still very possible with the help of UG Min and possible roam coming from Ayapi. That is a surefire to shut down Rogi in this Kale pick.
Oh, definitely. I mean, AA put on any single champion towards her. He's a very highly mechanical player that can pretty much just utilize everything on her hand. So having a Gragas could definitely work out for this game number 1. But going back into the bot lane, as what we've discussed a while ago, Nasus and Varus. They have a clear on waves, but what do you think on a matchup against Ashe and Nautilus for GS Eris?
I really think Ken and Navis shouldn't be too aggressive unless they're confident by whittling down their HP bars, because versus Volley and the arrows coming from Ken, I think they're more on the safe side of things. They're better range. It could be when it comes to the range department. That's why they're getting priority now. So unless they're absolutely sure that they can eliminate UG Min, that's the time they can go in. Let's just say if they're like really close to dying, 1/4 HP already for UG Min, then that's the time that they can confidently, because Enchanted Crystal Arrow plus Nautilus ult is very deadly for Ken. She's immobile. She's very low mobility on the Varus, so she should be careful.
Yeah, and Nasus can't support that.
Yes.
She can't do anything to increase the mobility of Varus as well, so I like how you pointed that out. But
You can weather, I
Grindsky
guess.
Eris,
Wither, but I think
yeah, I mean,
that's not going to be enough.
just if you can't increase the movement speed of your ally, slow down the enemy team, right?
Exactly, that's how you do it. That's the disengage of the Nasus. You just scream at them, Wither. Then, okay, go bye-bye.
Advanced strats coming from one snap Catalyst. So expectedly level 5 is something that we need to look out for, as Riku have stated, for Grindsky Eris. And this time around, Rogi, when it comes to level 5, will gain the range up against AA if it comes down. So
Exactly.
a better laning phase for her just after. But look at the information. Geo 1, then Nose. So both jungles on top side.
Let's wait for it. Let's look at UG Min right now. Look at the number. It's number 4. Once it turns number 5, and if Rogi is in the middle of the lane, Let's watch out for the arrow. Like, legit watch out for the arrow. I predict arrow hits, flash body slam AA, and into the explosive cask, and then the cask becomes a casket. That's my prediction. Watch level 5.
I love that. Well, we'll see though. Tier 1 is ready to engage
level
with
5.
the vision coming
Oh
from
no, they're going home.
One Snap Catalyst. They're playing very safe. They have a ward on enemy jungle.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Even without with the involvement of Chia 1. There's just... They know that the Kale is going to be scary if they leave Rogi alone. But here it is, here it is. AA is coming back to lane. Coming back to lane. Where's the first gank? What's the arrow? What's the arrow?
The arrow is ready. The ultimates are ready.
Oh, he did.
We'll
Oh!
see. Chia 1 is there. Oh, the hook will miss.
Okay, Rogi went
No
home.
engage coming through. Another failed engage. Well, not really. His dodge is fantastic for One Snap Catalyst. But for now, no first blood as of yet. Everyone's playing very, very safe.
Oh!
Here you go.
There it is.
The ultimate already down. Nasus is the target. Navis down for the count. First blood for GS.
Another CC lock execution. Beautifully done. The arrow may not have went to Rogi and everything, but it was the gank from Chia 1 that was phenomenal, and now they get first blood. And it makes sense as well on a AD carry perspective, because Yuji Min, while we don't really know, Ashe is not a well-known pick when it comes to the carry department, but looking at the composition, when you look at the Nasus, when you look at Rogi, who still is not level 15, you look at Jones and Den, it makes so much sense because you volley spam them. They're so slow, they want to run away. No, you don't have disengage, so you just auto attack them, slow them, kill them. So it makes sense with this setup.
So pretty much at this point, a very late game dependency for One Snap Catalyst. So Grindsky Eris is doing all that they can to have that early game advantage. The first blood to start it all off just a while back, but right now, Mountain Drake, Rift Herald alive. Expectations here when it comes to objective takedowns, Riku.
I think Rift Herald is going to be incredibly important. Again, it's not the Infernal Drake, but just as I said, it looks like it's going to be in trade instead. If Grindsky was able to get a pick, they would have gotten Rift Herald. But I feel like Rift Herald is important for Grindsky because it enables Hellbound to get early turret plates, to open up the map, and then take control of blue side jungle, and that's when they can set up for potential kills from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, not only solely in mid lane, not only for bot lane, but also deep inside the blue side jungle of One Snap Catalyst.
Absolutely. And I think it's a double-edged sword though. I think Grindsky Eris, yes, they have the Rift Herald, they could get the early lead, but having the Mountain Dragons and giving all these dragon buffs onto One Snap is going to be dangerous. And as for now, Monter's already down. Grindsky Eris wants to take this fight. Ultimates onto Jones, have the root, the stun, the CC chain is flawless. That's already a double kill for Chia 1. It's a 2-for-1 trade with a turret on top of that for GS.
And the golden fusion on towards Hellgirl for sure. We talked about that. They managed to get that tower, and this is a good start. Grindsky Eris. Everything is going according to plan. We can open up these side lanes, and then Yuji Min will not only have to focus the arrows on Rogi, but also the side lanes where Hellgirl is going to be split pushing. But I think the issue is that that's Jonas on the Garen. Garen doesn't really die, and Hellgirl isn't carrying Ignite, more on the defensive point of things. So Jonas, pretty hard to kill for sure.
Definitely. And I think also a consideration here when it comes to the late game for Ken. Remember, in patch 3.4, attack damage scaling increased quite significantly, so Ken will have a better suited time in the late game. Not really that good yet. It's not the best, but it's still good. Right now, as you stated, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto Rogi. That's the thing that we're expecting since level 5. When it connected, it's over for Rogi. That's a kill for GS.
And then they can keep doing this, rinse and repeat. They can send Yuji Min in the mid lane. This is a very popular 1-3-1 setup where you just volley spam, you're safe, unless One Snap is brave to just dive in using Den. But they need Ken's chain of corruption first before anything else, before they can aggressively engage. It won't hit!
The ultimate for Nautilus is already there, looking for that engage. Hellgirl, made up a
Whoa!
already captured. Kha'Zix going
Mafia.
in. Garen, the Mashin Justice pulls down Axe. One man already down. Hellgirl is very
Double
low. The Kha'Zix
kill.
jumping through under the turret. The dive is the tap.
Woo!
David with the ultimate, just finishing off GES. The cleanup is there. The 4 kills for One Snap Catalyst to make it back.
I swear, One Snap team fight. This could be a dive. Hold on. Arrow!
Under the tier 2 turret and Shattered Crystal Arrow to stun onto Navis. That secures the kill onto Rogi. Good trade.
I was about to say, One Snap's Catalyst team fight is just so good. The fact that, you know, I feel like Grindsky was very confident because, Ken, the chain of corruptions didn't connect. They don't have a very strong CC, teamfight CC anymore. But that didn't stop One Snap Catalyst to win that fight. Den dove into 3 people, and it was still very good execution because he got a triple kill. And I think that's a very good sign. Yesterday it was Rogi that got early triple kills. This time around it is Den. It is still the same concept of a late game scaling champion getting early game kills, and this is the best result.
That Den on the flank on the left side. The Malcolm is there to delay Meteor Shower. Might just secure it, but Geo 1 still alive with 1 HP. Now Hellgirl comes to the rescue. They'll just bring Hell into the rift, but so far they have to retreat. They are at a member disadvantage. No kills converted for both.
Nice leap coming from Den to avoid the potential execution from Hellgirl, and now objectives have spawned. They have One Snap has to take this Rift Herald, has to win this team fight, so that any of the teams can transition to Infernal Drake, because they get to potentially get 2 objectives and not trade for 1. This is a very high risk, high reward play, and it seems that Grindsky is winning the positional advantage.
Let's see if they
They
can
got it.
convert into value, as they got it quick. Grindsky Ares got the Rift Herald that they need. Infernal Drake though will come up at 20 seconds. And when it comes to the level counter, Rogi's already level 10.
Need 5 more levels. And I feel like, Grindsky Eris is on a little bit of this timer. They can't really take their time if they want to win this. The fact that One Snap Catalyst is just on a 1k gold deficit on the late game, Rogi's going to be insane. Den's going to be insane. The Void Spikes are just going to hurt a lot. And is able to burst all of these squishy members. Take note, the only...
Oh, Chain of Corruption on the Steel 1.
No follow-up. They got the dragon!
Arrows hurts though, but One Snap Catalyst just got the Infernal Drake at the hands of Grindsky Ares. They do not know.
Wow.
Then very, very sneaky.
Super sneaky. It was the Isolation Nation coming from Den. And I feel like, even that Scuttler secure coming from Grindsky is absolutely sneakily done. I think One Snap did an amazing job distracting Grindsky in the mid lane, and therefore they are rewarded. At least it's a 1-1 trade when it comes to objectives. And we'll see where Grindsky executes the Rift Herald to open up, because mid lane is going to be very important for them to open up so that they can at least gain back the map control.
I think they already used it. They used it mid lane just a while back to try and take the Infernal Drake, but they did not go through. They went into mid hoping for a kill, but at the same time, Den was just sneakily getting the Infernal Drake, so no converted objective for GS.
I thought an arrow was gonna come by. Oh, there it is!
It is! It is!
Boom!
There you
For the
go.
parlay.
Yep.
Well, it's on a relatively low cooldown.
Oh, the flash is there. AA has to go back. Explosive pass to disengage. So a flash and an ultimate burned by One Snap Catalyst against AA.
And once the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is back, that's the time that they can try again. Very difficult, because One Snap sort of sees this coming, and if they do have QSS enchant, then that's going to make things a bit safer for them in the side lane. So right now they're infusing so much gold onto Rogi, giving away red buff Oh!
The jungle invade.
Oh, Chia got it!
Ooh.
She got the red
Yeah,
buff.
they got the red buff, but how long will it stay on her hands? Because right now she's getting pinned by 4 members of One Snap as they secure the kill on Chia.
Wow. One Snap got the red buff back. And that's now on to Ken. We'll see, because there's not a lot of objectives to take, even though Chia is gone. Good thing. No Baron, no Dragon. There's a bit of a risky steal coming from Chia. And One Snap, she's gonna try to wave the air.
The tower is there, dealing damage onto Ayapi and Hellgirl, but they're not able to get any kills from both sides. And at this point, Riku, Rogi is already at level 12. Infernal Drake, Mountain Drake in their favor as well.
That's the
Very,
countdown.
very clean lineup.
They're taking the Baron! Right now, they're spotted. They're spotted though.
Alright.
I mean, they can do it because they have Varus, they have Rogi.
Yeah.
A lot of these scared auto attack champions.
Ooh, just converted that into
Whoa,
a third
yes!
mid lane, and now the explosive cast isolated 2 members from One Snap Catalyst. Garen is already down. Navis going to be the follow-up. The roots, the CCs from Hellgirl will secure that kill.
Whoa!
Down for One Snap Catalyst.
Wait.
Huge disadvantage into the upcoming fight with Baron already alive as well.
That was a bit spooky. Because it could have ended really scarily for Grindsky. The fact that we see Ken already dealing a huge amount of damage and Den wasn't around. I feel like that could have ended in a different way if Den was present in that fight. Remember, take note, Den was the one that managed to get a lot of these early game kills. But now level 13 onto Rogi. Remember what we said, Infinity. 15 is the lucky number for Rogi on this Kayle, and it's going to be a very difficult time for them to shut her down because of the range, because of how much pain she's going to deal against Grindsky's composition. Especially in a grouped up scenario, it's going to be deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, there isn't a significant lead by Grindsky Eris as well. In fact, they are at a disadvantage in this 15-minute mark. Even level playing field when it comes to gold. A deficit of 2 dragon buffs. Not that great when it comes to this late game look for GS.
Yep. Oh,
Enchanted Crystal Arrow though onto Navis, followed up by Nautilus Ultimate, but the Meteor Shower will just zone away GS.
they're getting painful. They're very painful right now. Now they can get more control over this dragon, and that means they're stacking up all of these dragons, and that's a very telling sign on where Grindsky is right now. You get to see Navis being the person, the meat shield rather, of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and everything, because she's very tanky right now. She's a Nasus, just pop ult. She didn't even need to pop ult for the Leer, and she was pretty tanky. Now, team fight time. It is time for the team fight, Infinity.
Yeah, and One Snap has this information that Grindsky Eris is on the river Nautilus with the ultimate onto Den. Knockup is there,
No
no
ults
follow
anymore.
up. So no ultimate for Ayapi to utilize in this upcoming team fight, so they have to retreat. They have to go back for a bit and buy space, get time. But then on the flank, going into the backside, Chia1 is in danger, goes golden to buy some time here, but AA is already dead. Ayapi to follow. Chia1, Hellgirl already very, very low. And Grindsky Eris will get aced by One Snap Catalyst. We've talked about the late game, and we are here. And One Snap is wreaking havoc in the ring.
Exactly, and the positioning of Grindsky being clumped up together by the river is just prime time for Rogi. They want to end it. They can end it.
They can, but that timer is very long. And One Snap Catalyst has already put down the inhibitors. They're going on to the Nexus. They're very confident. They're looking to end the grand finals and strike first. And they do, as One Snap Catalyst secures game 1.
What a game 1. Showing One Snap showing of their team fight prowess. We've seen it yesterday and now we're seeing it again. It's so incredibly scary how coordinated they are when it comes to their target prioritization, when it comes to positioning, when it comes to baiting out key ults, by the way, to basically make their team fight a more comfortable team fight. They know they were very confident after Nautilus didn't have any ult anymore. They know after the cask has been used, and they know that they can win that fight. No disengage anymore. And I gotta say, Den's positioning at the very end of the fight was just incredible, able to finish off low
Right.
health targets. And Rogi, again, once more, is able to farm comfortably, but till level, it's not the level, scary level 15, but it was still a lot of range on Kale with those clumped up targets on from Grindsky in that river.
Yeah, and I like how you portrayed this game one because then fantastic all throughout early game to late game. He was looking for those pickups. He was looking for that positions and angles that can just put Grindsky Eris at a disadvantage. And Rogi, all throughout that game, was just free farming.
Yeah.
No one's actually denying her in the rift. So at this point in time, she was able to accumulate 13k gold, the most gold out of the whole game despite the lack in kills. So this is pretty much just a good game coming in from One Snap Catalyst, fitting for a defending champions. And Grindsky Eris just has to pay the price.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we're seeing contrasting styles right here. The big 5v5s, One Snap Catalyst is amazing. But the skirmishes, Grindsky, they execute it really, really well. That's why the Ash is right there for that big side lane pressure on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. You stun someone in the side lanes, and then you finish off the kill, and then make it into a 4v5. You get towers, you get objectives. But unfortunately, you know, One Snap played the team fights very, very well. They were patient when there were no objectives. They were patient when they were not group S5s, and they were defensive when it mattered the most, and found the right timing when the ults weren't available on the side of Grindsky. And then that's the time they're like, let's go. It's time. We're going to win this 5v5.
Right. And for the next game, now Grindsky Eris is on a conundrum. Should they ban out away the Kale? Should they ban away the Nasus? Like, what will be the steps here to equalize the series? Because right now, One Snap Catalyst is already on a game lead here in the Grand Finals.
I know. It's I think we already talked about how it's very important to win the game one, to set the tone, to set momentum, and of course to get that leeway. Like, you have that safety, knowing the fact that you've already won game one.
So we'll see. We'll see. Game one is already over, but the series is not yet. For game two, that will happen later on. But for now, we're going to take a short break. I'm Infinity and this is Riku. Don't go away.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric.
go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. It's my time, watch me build another life, find another.
Welcome back, everyone, once more to the Wild Rift Open for right now in the Grand Finals. This tournament is powered by Yahoo and Intel, so shoutouts to our sponsors. But Riku, game 1, already secured by one snap Catalyst. And we'll see if GS is able to equalize this series, as this is a best of 5, one game away for match point for one snap.
Yeah, I'm looking at the team fight prowess again of one snap Catalyst. It feels very, they're very strong in that aspect, and the fact that they know when to play defensively, they know when an objective hasn't spawned yet, and they know once a dragon's up, a Rift Herald's up, that's the time they can group as 5, and that's how they've been winning these games. And you know, Den and Rogi, like if some, like at least one of them gets early game kills is enough for them to set up victory for the upcoming fights. And meanwhile, how does Grindsky Eris come back from that game number 1? I think it has something to do with AA. I really think AA needs to be on a champion that has agency to make plays on her own, as we've seen in the Zed, on her Zed plays in the previous series. But the problem is, there's a lot of respect on her Zed already, so it has been banned previously. So I feel like they can pull an RRQ. You know what's an RRQ, Infinity?
Ooh.
Pick Zed!
What?
For your very first rotation on red side. Don't wait for it to be banned on the second rotation. Pick Zed immediately. First pick Zed. You just ignore any of the responses, the picks. AA can do it. I feel like it.
You know the first thing that I thought about when you stated
Do an RRQ.
Do an RRQ.
What?
Rakan mid lane. Fiorum. These Helios pickups, you know?
True.
But yeah, I get the point, right? Because AA Zed is just insane.
Yes.
It's out of this world. So they could pick it up for themselves, and now they have a very comfortable champion for AA to be able to carry the team or even split push from time and time around in League of Legends Wild Rift. And I think what the video a while ago has stated, you know, we can be our own heroes too. And I think, you know, when it comes to this grand finals, every single player can be that highlight, can be that key role coming into the grand finals. The question is, what specific champions are you going to do? What are the strategies that you are going to be doing here for game 2?
I think another option would definitely be, if you know Zed's not open, then perhaps the Akali. It's also allows you to make a lot of these flashy plays, a lot of high ceiling when it comes to mechanics. So I think that can be an opportunity as long as there's no Morgana on the opposite side, as long as there's no Karma, because we've seen what happens if you can't hide in a shroud. We've seen how that happens with the tether, is able to spot you out and flush you out of the smoke, basically. So at this point, I feel like just give AA this agency to outplay someone, to be flashy, to use her mechanics, because I feel like it's like really, really amazing, versus the Gragas pick earlier, which is more utility, which is more setting up for the team and being that disengaged. So I'm looking forward to that in the draft later on.
Yeah, and when it comes to the draft as well, I think there's a bit more leeway for Grindsky Esports to pick up the Zed, to pick up something. Because a while ago, we saw Grindsky going onto the red side and Catalyst going blue side. But this time around, it's the opposite way, wherein Grindsky chose blue on game 2. So that could definitely change the pacing of the draft, the bans, the picks could definitely be reflective of that. As we are jumping into the draft, just as we've spoken about.
Let's go. Here we go. Kale! Rogi's Kale is now banned, and Nasus is banned as well. This is the adaptation that we were talking about, Infinity. Coming into game number 2, bans will be different. And bans of the champions that were used in game number 1 is completely banned. They banned Den, Navis, and Rogi. So now it's really going to be a different game.
Full on respect by Grindsky Eris. Nasus of Navis, Kale of Rogi, Kha'Zix of Den removed. And now you have Xin Zhao, Karma, and Olaf banned away by one snap Catalyst, and this leaves the Kassadin open for Hellgirl to pick up.
Now the biggest question is if it's going to be an assassin versus assassin answer from the side of one snap. I mean, no Kale anymore. Lucian now getting picked up early. So what will be the pair? I mean, Nautilus is still open for the taking if they want something tanky. Because Assassins, one of the answers to Assassins at the early to mid game, it's just play tanky members. The burst will not be enough. We talked about the tethers. We talked about the CCs in the past. The chain CC, Nautilus, Morgana, and Lux. Lux, by the way, is still open. That still can be picked up in the draft later on.
Z2 is open for Grindsky Eris to pick up if ever they want to match up onto an assassin champion in the mid lane for AA.
No.
That is an opening for them, because if they don't, that will definitely be banned away. And now Shyvana, Zed locked in.
There we go. That's what we've been waiting for. All of these resource-hungry champions so far. So Grindsky for the last 2 picks, which is... they're picking in order, by the way. This is support and duo lane now left. This is top lane, jungle, and mid lane picked in order.
Right.
So now they need utility. They need an Ashe, they need the Varus, or they need a Jhin. So anything that can start the fight and CC, because that's what they're lacking right now. Lux is free for the taking, so one snap can ban this out because they already have the Morgana. They don't need that big extra CC, so they have to ban something like an Ashe or a Varus on their side.
Yeah, because it can't all be main roles or main casts for Grindsky Eris. You have to have supporting role, you have to have supporting cast for a full-on lineup. And now, Senna, Ashe banned by one snap Catalyst, and Braum and Nami banned away by Grindsky Eris. However, Nautilus is still open.
Yeah, they can pick this up. Just that removes the hard, reliable CC that they badly, direly Grindsky needs. And one snap is getting everything. Oh, but Galio!
Oh, the Galio!
Samira, please.
Samira?
Please.
This is a very high mechanical champion, though.
Yes, every single pick is very heavy on mechanics. And Samira, they're getting a lot of these resource-heavy champions. And I potentially see why. Because Samira is able to deter these projectiles, at least with her skill too. So removing that, but you're up against champions that can easily stop you mid-ult. That's an Nautilus. One auto attack, then you stop your ult, you cancel your ult. Gragas in the meantime will provide CC and that meat shield that they need. And we were looking for the Akali, and there's no tether, no Karma tether, no Soul Shackles tether to smoke her out of this shroud.
And there's no Galio either, as considered as a counter onto Akali in the past. So right now, a very difficult situation, but they have Gragas though to be able to put out Akali when it comes to the shroud. But a really, really dangerous spot there. So So we'll see how this would turn out. A while ago, we were looking for Engage. Now, GS has Gragas.
And I think that is incredibly important on a heavy engage composition from one snap. You will expect everybody to jump at you after Nautilus uses the ult, and everybody just dashes forward, right? Everybody dashes forward. So the Gragas is going to be important. Ayapi's explosive cast will be key here to deter aggression.
And to isolate targets as well. Very, very important for Grindsky Eris to be able to do. And I think Zed has a lot of targets. Hellgirl has a lot of targets. These are 3 squishy targets by Grindsky Eris, considering that they have a lot of these assassination champions that can punish one snap catalyst. And that may be the route that they want to take.
This is going to be very spicy because, yeah, you're right. Like, Hellgirl isn't a champion that was extremely effective earlier in their previous series when she was she's on casted in on the top lane, and the fact that she's going up against 2 AP champions rather, with a Morgana and a Kali, Shield's going to be effective, Silence is going to be effective. So I'm looking forward to both compositions being extra flashy. By the way, both of these compositions are flashy. I gotta say it again because it's going to be super hype. Mechanics are going to be tested for sure in this game.
Oh, definitely, Riku.
Yeah!
I mean, it's a lot on the line here in the grand finals. We're talking about 1,000 Singapore dollars on the prize pool here for the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. We're in the first place, we'll get 550. The second, we'll get 250. Third place, we'll get 125. And fourth place, we'll get 75 SGD. So a lot on the line here for this tournament today. The grand finals, game number 2 is just here. We're now here in the Rift, Riku. We're now here.
We are here, indeed. One snap, one game away from match point. Grindsky, of course, wants to make it 1-1 into the series to take back that leeway. Much harder to get that reverse sweep for sure. But now they have all the key picks, but very hungry on resources is my concern. They can utilize 1-3-1s, but nothing can start a fight without Ayapi. So we're talking about 1v1s, 1-3-1s. Rogi would be happy to take them on. Jones will be happy to take them on, especially the fact that Hellgirl is up against an AD champion. The shields will not mitigate AP damage because you're up against Jones. So at this point, I can imagine on a 1-3-1 setup later on, they're going to swap, basically. Hellgirl will shadow Rogi for a better fighting chance with the silence and the shields. And AA will go up against Jonas later on with the 1.
Yeah, but we've seen this before, how AA has been able to split push from a couple of times in the prior series in the semifinals, and they could definitely do it once more for a 1v1 setup. But for now, when it comes to the jungles, a very traditional rotation here. But One Snap Esports going for the bot side clear on the Rift Scuttler, and even on top side as well, as Akali is starting it already, and Shyvana still not even close.
Yeah, the clear coming from Den for sure is incredible. Is much faster, and the fact that when it comes to the ganking power of a Morgana, it's stronger than a Shyvana, and Shyvana most of the time would want to spend time in her own jungle most of the time, just because that's how a Shyvana operates, and the fact that you just need to get it's a farming jungler versus a decently farming jungler plus ganking jungler for Morgana. So I think that's what the early game is going to look like for One Snap Catalyst. They have more agency to move for early to mid game, but when it comes to late game, they're better.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned how Shyvana just has to stay put in farm on the jungle, because Shyvana doesn't have mana, and that ultimate is not gonna
charge itself.
Go up
yes.
itself. Yeah. So she has to stay in the jungle, accumulate the right energy to have the ultimate ready.
Right.
So now it's ready. They're going for the Dragon Form. Navis, though, have the advantage onto Ayapi. Will not be able to secure that kill.
Zen's here.
Has to dash back away. But then is
Oh!
already here as well. Dark Binding will not connect. But the ultimate is there. Roots onto 2, and then
Rogi coming in!
It's a lot of the damage coming
One
from
more.
AA, but Eugene
Wow.
as well is here.
Wow.
As Rogi is just punishing the enemy team. That
Is
is
it
a
purple?
clear up from one snap catalyst.
triple.
One by one by one. It's a 4-for-1
And
trade.
Rogi does it again. Remember what happened in the past when she was on a Kale. Even though it's a late game scaling champion, she manages to get an early triple kill to transcend her Kale faster. But this time it's an Akali on an assassin. If an assassin snowballs, you just burst someone down so quickly. And that, I feel like, is such an amazing start for Rogi on this Akali.
Yeah. And right now, with Akali having the rift already, a lot of sustain, a lot of damage. That has to be respected in the mid lane. So we'll see how this will turn out though. Because right now, it's a huge gold lead by 1 SE. Having 2k gold against Grindsky Eris at 4 minutes into the matchup. What a huge disadvantage.
It's such a huge start for one snap. I mean, the fact that top lane, Jones has been getting early game turret plates without the influence of Den. Den has been focusing a lot on her efforts at the bottom portion of the map, and it worked out in their favor. Yet, let's just say Jones is quite low, not winning the trade so far, but getting turret plates, I think that's a pretty sweet deal.
Absolutely. I mean, one turret plate gives you what? 75? 150 gold? Something like
yeah.
that. Something along those lines when it comes to each turret plate. So really massive gold accumulation for Jones in the top lane. But with the resets coming in and with a huge lead for one snap catalyst, this is going to be a piece of cake for the Mountain Drake to be able to be cleared out
Wow.
easily.
AA with the emote too. She's so confident. I mean, Rogi got a triple kill, so I understand. But meanwhile, it's a trade of objectives.
1-for-1 trade, the Rift Herald for Grindsky Eris. What we've seen so far just a while back, and one snap catalyst secures the Mountain Drake, and GS immediately coming right through. Rift Herald spawn top.
But Jen's coming over. Once you hit the eye, oh, the charge already connected, so the charge is still going to continue. But it's just them evening out the map score because the turret at top side is already about to fall. So still, first turret out for grabs. We'll see now though, because I feel like Grindsky, with their composition, has to slowly wait for Ayapi. And we talked about how this is a very resource-hungry composition. Hellgirl, Chia 1, AA, Yujimin, all four of them, all four carries can make plays, but they will need a lot of these resources. And you can't exactly farm. You can farm Chia's jungle. Chia as a Shyvana will need these farms to transcend basically. So I think there's a little bit of that struggle for sure on how to allocate these resources. Who gets their wave? Who do we funnel our wave to? Especially the fact that Rogi right now very comfortable in the 1v1, not the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Shroud to be able to just go in and out of those team fights. And as you stated, when it comes to Shyvana, or when it comes to the overall perspective of Grindsky Eris, who really is the carry of this team?
That is the biggest question. I think now it will solely depend who gets far ahead. But on paper, Shyvana needs all of these resources by default because of how she operates, right? So we'll have to see now if they can stall the game enough for them to reach again with where they want to be on this competition.
So are you saying we're reaching the 36 minutes game once again?
Ooh,
Here in the Grand Finals?
Okay, let's take a look at the wave clear. Wave clear is decent with AA and Ayapi. And on the other side, then Tormented Soil. Tormented Soil. And the culling. On paper, yes, you had culling as wave clear. So I think there is a possibility.
Mavis, ultimate onto Hellgirl. Hellgirl with a dash away. Yapi's there to support, but one snap catalyst taken down, one turret, already happy with that. They retreat.
Wow!
But right now, in the bottom lane, it's a 1v1. Once again, Rogi very comfortable up against AA.
Whoa, fight!
But that fight, explosive cast isolates one target. Now Ken is very low. He has to use the flash to go back away, and now the low wolves in the riverside. It's 3-man down for one snap catalyst as Grindsky Eris equalizes the kill standing.
Incredible work by Yuji Min with the Inferno trigger, catching a lot of people in that big AoE. Rogi, so brave!
Oh, the body slam onto Rogi, Twilight Shroud. By time when it comes to invisibility here, but Shyvana just deals so much damage, and now that's another kill towards the side of GS Eris.
I believe it was Shutdown Gold as well, going over to Grindsky Eris, and that triple kill is exactly what they needed to take back that triple kill away from Rogi. And now with Yuji Min with the Bloodthirster, that's a lot of sustain with the Devil Inferno later on to be more brave to enter aggressively into these fights.
Yeah, and with that team fight win, Yuji Min able to buy the Bloodthirster, one of the crucial items for a Samira, due to the fact that Samira is a really squishy champion. With a Bloodthirster, you're now able to be more confident in those team fights.
You can't, and there's a big risk going in. You can easily be stunned, but Rick Herald though, already being secured, to be very careful here. And yes,
Quick and efficient.
very quick and efficient.
Ooh. What's going on here?
Fight!
They're going for the fight in the mid lane. They're going for a full-on aggression as Grindsky Eris is now going to retreat. His tongue is there, producing a lot of damage, and Rogi able to punish Gio 1. It's a 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, I feel like because Grindsky recognizes that Yuji Min is in a very huge lead right now, they want to take advantage of moments where they can start a fight. Even though they already got the objective, if they can get more, they will. And now, we're seeing Yuji Min having to position really well in that previous fight. So now we can see take 2 of that Infernal Drake fight as well.
But the disadvantage of starting a dragon or an objective in general will be that you will have your skills on cooldown when a fight occurs. As GS Ares, look at them, their positioning is going through the explosive cast. It's a triple CC. One snap, Catalyst is in danger. They're stuck beside the dragon's pit. And there you go. This is the fight the Grindsky Ares wants. But right now, it's a 2-for-1 trade. And One Snap Catalyst is on an advantage. GS Ares might get the Infernal Drake, but they lost every single member as One Snap aces GS.
You know what just happened, Infinity? It was a team fight. It was a team fight, and One Snap shows up again. The target prioritization, acknowledging that Yuji Min is the biggest threat in the game, in this particular game right now. Rogi just tunnel visioned on Yuji Min and eliminated the problem. Once she's down, then boom, you're gonna have a better setup to win that team fight, and that's exactly what happened. As long as you zone her away and doesn't get S rank so that she'll be able to trigger her ult, then you're fine. Because the ult is the biggest thing that Samira can do to your team.
Wait. Did Ayapi just buy Ixtali Seajar?
Yes!
Oh. Interesting. Because I saw like Ascarius bloom in the middle of the map. Like, what's going on?
I remember Icons. It was incredibly popular for tanky supports in the bottom lane. As it is very gold efficient. You get a lot of stats. And I heard the calculation was what I may be exaggerating. It's like 1,000% gold efficient. Something like that.
1,000?
I could be exaggerating, but it is, bottom line, it is gold efficient. With the stats that you get, with the effects that you get, it is incredibly, it's like the best first item for support types.
Right. I learn new things every day.
Probably not 1,000 gold efficiency, but I could be wrong. But something of a big number. The big number. I'll get back into you for
Like,
game
look at
number
this.
3, perhaps.
Like, Ayapi's just spamming the Ixtali Seager constantly time and time again. And on top of all that, in patch 3.4, it's actually buffed up. Instead of planting the seed down for 3 seconds, it's now 1 second. So when it comes to team fight, I think the blast cone will be very crucial if it comes to disengaging as well. So Ixtali Seager could definitely work out, but this is the first time that we've seen here in FSL Water Flow.
That's true, yeah. I think having a pocket honey fruit is also very handy. You know, like when you're taking an Elder Drake later or a Baron later. You need more health? Oh, I got you! Chew on these! I've got an extra honey fruit. I took it with me earlier.
Honey fruit on a silver platter. Here
Here
you go.
you go, girl! I got you, fam!
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's cash on delivery though.
Yeah,
So.
COD.
You have to pay for food, man.
Fruits are healthy though. We need
Right,
more
right,
fruits.
right.
Fruits are healthy.
Definitely. Although going back here, look at the Death Brush. That one SE
Yeah,
is doing a Yappi's in danger. She's pinned. That's screwed. Gargoyle enchant
Oh,
though,
nice cast.
getting a lot of shield. And now with explosive cast, puts Navis in a bad position. But look at the backside. It's Rogi tanking all the damage here.
Wow!
Right side,
Dorado.
Eris. 5-point strike is
Woo!
there. That is inevitable for Grindsky Eris as one snap catalyst just puts down 2 members. Eugene Min, a Yappi is already down, but Rogi's been traded off. And Hellgirl will follow suit. And Chia 1 and AA, the only one left standing for GS.
It's a 4v5. It's a 4v5. Remember, because Jonas is busy pushing. AA! Backline!
For now, AA in the backside, going for the flank. Navis will miss the route, will miss the CC, and now with AA's positioning, that's a punish coming in from 1SC. And on top of all that, you have the push from Jones in the bottom lane.
And the top lane strikes again. Jones is able to remove the inhibitor tower. And remember, one snap, we talked about their strength when it comes to team fights. When it comes to 5v5s, guess what? That was a 4v5. And one snap on paper still won despite losing Ken, despite losing members off of that fight. I still feel like it's worth it because of the natural lane pressure coming from bot lane means one snap can set up for that Baron later on.
And I think Grindsky Eris, from what I've observed in game 1 and game 2, they're constantly getting punished on face checking, right? Face check, you get punished time and time again. So they have to think of a way to get vision instead of putting yourself in danger to just get vision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it feels like they have to be careful in their own jungle right now. The fact that one snap has a lot of map advantage. Hold on. Dragon now being started with
Tier 1 also has a Dragon Form. Ocean Drake over here.
Oh.
HP. Dragon Form coming in. Tier 1 is trying to get it, but once time Catalyst secures it. And now the team fight occurs. Zed coming into the backside, looking on Ken. That's a kill for AA. Grindsky Eris has the 1-4-2. 2-4-2 trade. But then one snap Catalyst will lose their mid laners. Will have to retreat. It's AA making a lot of things happen, removing crucial targets from 1SC.
But remember, Yuji Min is the most critical member right now of Grindsky Eris. And if you don't kill her right off the bat, then one snap will lose the team fight. When it comes to fighting power, when it comes to how everyone's going to be positioned from one snap in a team fight scenario, you know they're going to be all clumped up together. In Dragon Fights, Pit,
Right.
Yuji Min, Inferno Trigger, that's like the recipe for disaster for one snap. So recipe for success for Yuji Min, absolutely.
That works.
Yes, but disaster for one snap. So Rogi's job right now is to constantly assassinate Yuji Min. If she doesn't, she's not able to do that, then Grindsky will win the team fight.
Yeah, that's right. Although, one snap Catalyst did get the Ocean Drake though. So that's a punish onto Chia once being able or removing the debuffs that she could get coming in from these dragons. So I don't know if it's worth or if it's not.
Looking at the gold lead, it's one of those we take what we can scenarios. Now look at one snap. They're starting this Baron. Remember, Pit, Inferno Trigger, they should be careful.
There's a ward. There's
They know.
information that one snap Catalyst is going for the Baron Nasher, but they're turning around. One snap Catalyst wants to go for kills instead. They're looking at AA. If they remove AA, that's huge damage removed from GS.
And the response from Grindsky is to just shove the wave in the mid lane. Now they're forced to back away instead. This is absolutely critical. Of course, one snap needs to get that 2-0 for that match point. Let's see see now.
Wow!
Wow!
His lane, and now Navis flashes, going for the ultimate onto Eugene Min. You talked about Eugene Min's importance. If she's your move, this is a huge chunk that GS is going to lose as well. Look at the flank into the backside. Eugene Min is in danger, but Jones in the middle of the fight. The gargoyle enchant, just a huge shield, putting a lot of defensive capacity on one snap catalyst. Eugene Min is dead. Ayapi's dead. Chia 1 Hellgirl is also gone. And AA goes golden to buy time, but that's not even enough. One snap catalyst removes Grindsky Eris in the rift.
What a team fight from one snap. If they're able to find an opportunity to just bother Eugene Min in the backline, and that's what they get. Rogi diving in, and now they win 2-0 in this series.
And they end it. They're already at match point in the grand finals, and the defending champion once again is looking for another championship title.
What a crazy, crazy game number 2. And you're right, they're looking into back-to-back titles here. And the fact with all of these roster changes, and again, when we summarize everything, it all goes back to Rogi's performance, getting that triple kill, meaning being able to create more of these confident plays, being able to match up against AA in the side lanes, being able to have enough damage to try and assassinate Eugene Min at these team fights and access that backline, because it's going to be solely reliant on her to be able to get into these team fights. And now Eugene Min, we saw her selecting what the proper boot enchants were going to be. She was cycling through Protect, she was cycling through the I believe is the Repulse enchant. It was able to knock people up, because again, her biggest fear is Rogi accessing the backline and reaching her.
Right, and at this point, Riku, we've already seen the Zed. We've seen different compositions from GS. What do they need to do? Because they are on the brink of defeat. They are on a match point already for 1SE. One more loss, it's already over.
I really think they need more utility to hold Rogi down. Because I feel like while Grindsky, there were fights that they were winning. There were fights that Eugene Min was shining like a diamond. But I feel like the resource-heavy composition where Chia just needs all of her farm, needs all of these dragons, reliant on that. AA reliant on having to match up with Rogi and making sure that she's the one that's getting the triple kill, and Eugene Min at the same time as well. So I feel like they need more utility to pick one to be the star, and then they can pour their resources onto that pick, onto that lane. And I think that's going to be incredibly crucial. Like we saw on the side of One Snap, it's Black Shield time and time again onto Rogi so that she can do her thing. Nautilus for the ult to make sure that Rogi just target locks on that person. So more CC. I think the TLDR. I said a lot of things that more CC on the side of Grindsky, I feel like.
So crowd control, utilities for Grindsky Esports for game number 3. We're looking at UGS. The draft is going to be very important in the next game. But for now, it's already match point for One Snap Catalyst. One game away for the championship title. I'm Infinity and this is Riku. We're going to take a short break before we go in to the third exciting game.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric.
There's no doubt, gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. Explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FSL Wild Rift Open for its grand finals.
Woo!
We're already now in Game 3, match point for 1SC, Riku.
I know.
Oh,
It's one snap right now is showing a lot of confidence. I feel like they've been very unfazed for the past 2 games, and it has been, Rogi from the Kale getting access to these team fights, and then now Akali, game number 2, getting access to these backlines, and then removing the most scary member from Grindsky Eris, which was Yuji Min on this Samira that had triple kills. Like, wow, Rogi, so such an impressive performance so far in the series.
yeah, and from Game 2, right? What they did is ban every single champion that they saw in Game 1. But at this point in time, they can't do that. If they ban away the champions that they saw in Game 1, 1SC gonna pick up the champions that they did in Game 2. If they ban away the champions that they saw in Game 2, they're gonna pick up the champions that they have in Game 1 for the side of One Snap Catalyst. So a lot of things to think about for Grindsky Esports. And as you've talked about before we took a short break, utilities and crowd control is going to be very important in this Game 3 for Grindsky.
Yeah, I feel like if they want to shut down Rogi, they gotta get more CC in the bag.
Yeah, and talking about this draft, talking about champions, picks and bans, we're already here, jumping into the draft quickly for game number 3. Sinjao Olaf banned away, Karma Nasus banned by GS.
Now let's take a look at Navis has been performing really well for the past two the Saturday and Sunday on this Nasus. So no questions there. 2 tanky, has a really good meat shield. But on the side of One Step, removing Olaf and Sinzao, so disengage and early game advantage. So there is a big possibility we might see Den back in the Kazakhs. If this Morgana is the main pickup, then this might potentially be Den again on Black Shield duty, on fast jungle clear duty once more.
Yeah, and Nasus has already been banned. What are the support champions that we will see for Gia this time around? And so far, Morgana for One Snap, Grindsky picks up Lucian and denies the Shyvana. Or picks up the Shyvana for themselves, rather.
Yeah, this seems to me that Grindsky is going for, okay, we're going to get the Lucian for early game, but this time we're going to pick Shyvana and then make sure that the resources will solely go to her when it comes to the jungle. They're not going to have to battle resources out, so we'll have to see. I think that's the direction that they're going for. And now, though, Rogies, if they do pick this up once more, it is Rogies, Akali. They need more CC. They need Ashe. They need Karma. Karma's out of the picture. Remember when we talked about Infinity? Tethers, the tether mechanics give you vision of a target if it's connected, and especially after. So at this point, there's no answer to that just yet, but I feel like Akali is important here. I mean, not Akali. Yeah. Ashe.
Right. And right now, what we're seeing from Grindsky is a similar draft that they did just a while back. Shyvana, Lucian, Gragas, right? These champions for GS. And now the question is, like, how would this go out for Grindsky Eris? What are the champions that they're going to pick up for the 4th and 5th? Because at the moment, they're still missing the mid lane. They're still missing the top lane.
In the first game, AA picked up a Gragas. So this still can be flexed on support or in the mid lane. So there's still this big mystery. Unless they decide to flex Lucian in the mid lane. Again, there's just too many questions and we have no answers just yet. But we talked about the Ashe being an incredibly important pick. I love the Galio.
Ooh,
no tether.
I love it.
No tether. Then you just charge your taunt in the middle of the Shroud and try to flush Rogi out in the Shroud. This is so good.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about a while ago, right? In game number 2, you have to have something that could counter Rogi. Galio is one of the options, but GS hovered it only during that time. But now it's open, they could pick it up as a counter onto Akali. And One Snap Catalyst is answering, you know what? We're going for pokes. We're picking up Ezreal.
A lot of burst damage on the side of One Snap. And meanwhile, Grindsky responds, I love this. Like, let's just go tanky. That's how you counter early to mid game burst damage, is to be a bit more on the tankier side, because shred items will come after. And now
Mm-hmm.
they don't exactly have innate skills that can naturally shred them. So Navis now back on Nautilus duty for that big CC that we keep talking about. So that's the hook into the Dark Binding. Double disengage, Infinity!
Yeah. And I'm curious, who's going top lane?
Gragas?
Galio?
Gragas.
Gragas? Like, who is it?
I think it's Gragas. and it's going to be a Galio mid. And for Siobhan in the jungle, rather. We haven't seen Janna Gragas in a while. And the reason why it was strong in the past, in Year 0 of Wild Rift, because it provided so much safety. This is a very defensive draft. They've got the hero's entrance. They've got explosive cast. They've got the monsoon as well, and big knockups. So, honestly, if the Galio wasn't there, I would have thought it could have been a Yasuo competition. To be honest, like if it was a Gragas jungle or something, and then Yasuo top and then Galio mid lane, I feel like that'd have been a Yasuo draft. But it's more of defensive rather against Rogi, and now Rogi has to do her best to maneuver around this heavy disengaged CC composition from Grindsky.
Yeah, and having to see the locked-in roles, the locked-in champions from both these teams, who should we look at this time around, Riku, for Game 3 of the Grand Finals?
For the side of One Snap, now match point, 1 game away from taking the Grand Champion title of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. For me, we have to look at Rogi again. Especially that we know that Den is on the Morgana jungle. Black Shield always whenever Rogi has to go in. On the other side of the spectrum, though, it has been UG Min. Been rising to the occasion from the Samira pick from the series prior. UG Min now has agency to make aggressive plays as a Lucian with the protection of AA, Hellgirl, and Ayapi here on the Janna. Looking at enchanters in this series, happy to see Janna back at it again. This time now, it's Grindsky in, backs against the wall. They must win this to continue on for that title.
Yeah, and as they say, if you're back against the wall, break the wall.
Break the wall.
Right? Yeah.
True.
So we'll see if Grindsky Eris is able to do that. So eyes on Rogi, eyes on UG Min here for the Grand Finals game number 3. And so far, a very quiet start for 40 seconds into the game. And I don't know what to expect. A double disengage for GS, as you stated a while ago. Could this be the key for GS Eris for their comeback potential on the series?
It's very highly possible. I think the one weakness that I see right now from One Snap Catalyst is their wave fear. Azriel is not known to be a wave fear champion. He's known to struggle in getting priority in the early game because you don't have True Shot Barrage just yet. You only have the Mystic Shots. And UG Min being very aggressive here so far, taking every opportunity to poke, to harass rather, and to try to engage whenever possible.
Yeah. It's just that Lucian has one of the most annoying passives
yeah.
when it comes to the ADC pool. Like, you put out a skill, your next auto attack is double. Like,
Yeah,
so annoying.
it's super annoying. It's a lot of damage output, and that's why he is one of the most aggressive, early game champions in Wild Rift for the duo lane. It's like skill pew pew, skill pew pew, skill pew pew, and then you get level 5.
Yeah.
You're like pew 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 pew.
For sure. And I think the question is, like, how does UG Min or how does Lucian in general have unlimited ammo?
That's a good
Like, how
question.
much does that gun have on Lucian's hands?
Maybe it's the power of light from within his heart. Can't believe I said that without stuttering.
Riku! Oh no!
It makes sense, kind of.
I mean, yeah, it does. Although going back right now into the game, a very stale moment for both these teams, but we're already at level 5. So ultimates are ready for majority of the members from both teams here. So expectedly, can we have a gang or team fight occur pretty soon?
No. You know why? Because
Why?
number one,
Jones
Jones is not on like a Renekton. So Rift Herald control is not exactly a priority. Chia 1 would love to have. Hold
You
up,
know what? They're still forcing it.
Yeah, they
Actually,
are.
the root coming in from Den with Dark Binding. Navis in the front lines though, taking a lot of hit. Now Galio, AA.
Whoa, Chia.
Just this punch. Nautilus with the ultimate as well onto AA. So that's not that CC. But one Snap Catalyst secures the first blood in this game.
Rogi!
And I'm Rogi jumping with the flash, going for the 5-point strike. Securing another kill for the team. And now AA has to retreat. She's very low. But Hellgirl comes into the flank onto the left side. Goes for the body stamp onto Rogi. That's a punish. So it's a 2-for-1 trade for both teams in favor of 1SC.
I spoke too soon, Infinity, and said no. You know why? Because there's gonna be a trade, but looks like that's gonna be a no. No, because Chia 1, like on paper, right? Chia 1 would love to have the dragons. That'll be the utmost priority. She doesn't have to worry about a top laner, 4-1 split pusher to accumulate gold because that's just a Garen. The Garen's job in this composition is to not die, be a meat shield. That's the laning phase basically. So right now, curious to see if with Chia 1 now making moves at the top portion of the map, and alternatively force a fight in Rift Herald, get Rift Herald infused gold onto yourself. Chia 1 again is on a farming champion. Of course, you would need resources to be a point where you're very, very scared. So the rotation out Chia 1 indicates that they will go to Rift Herald first, fight there, and then they go Dragon to give Chia 1 as the Shivani.
Right. Dragons, Hunters, now up. Really important for both these teams at the moment. And I'm curious to see like what the items are at the moment, even the KDAs. Like who got the 2 kills from one Snap Catalyst? Is it Rogi? Is it someone else? Is it the top? Because if Rogi got the double kill a while ago, the damage is going to be insane.
Oh, it's split.
It's split. But still 1 kill for one Snap Catalyst. They get the Rift Herald now, so an objective takedown. I think Grindsky Eris is a bit too late because 1SE can now catch up and punish.
Oh, here we go.
Riku Jones into the back line.
Wow!
Goes for the sign of Dimash and Justice onto Chia 1. So no smite for Grindsky Eris. And this might be a double objective secured by one Snap Catalyst.
That's an amazing start by one Snap. Yeah, double start because Chia 1 didn't have any mobility anymore after the Dragon form being activated. So this was an opportunity for one Snap to like, okay, no charge, no jump, let's just go, let's just lock her down. And no jungler, no problem, we'll secure that Dragon. And I feel like, yeah, one Snap, they're the queens of team fighting. I swear, Infinity. They've displayed how powerful they are when it comes to the team fights. So at this point, Grindsky, what can you do? Make it a 4v5 first and then enter into a team fight. But they've showed us in the previous game that they were fine 4v5 because Jonas earlier, she was just split pushing with a Renekton and they still won the big 4v5. So one Snap, they're incredible.
I mean, they're insane. They're out of this world.
Yep.
That's just fitting of the defending champions for FSL Lotus Open 3 as they are the prior champions. So we'll see as how this will turn out. Are they still going to force out team fights? At the moment, it's already a 2k goal lead for one Snap Cat.
And what are the options now for Grindsky? Because the reason why they picked UG Min's solution here is to be a facilitator of the early to mid game. After the mid game, Lucian will eventually fall off and Chia 1 will take over being the carry. And that is reliant on having to gain farm and gain dragons. So far, it's not exactly the start that Grindsky wants.
Yujimin in danger. The root is there, but maybe he's not gonna pull through. Going for the full-on engage. They know that there are 4 members from GS on top side.
This though, they want that mid lane as well. But they're gonna get it. It's a bit difficult, right? Because we talked about wave clear. Wave clear is so much better for Grindsky. unless you have Den on your side and you have the Tormented Soul, and that's how you can fight at even terms. We'll see. Now they want this tower dive onto AA. Again, if you tower dive the Galio, sure, you've got the taunt, but you have one skill that can help you escape, unless that gets cancelled by Navis, and I feel like Navis is on that big CC duty, because again, not a lot of people have CC in this composition, only Den and Navis, so they have that big pressure to start off these fights. And is it me? Did Yuji Min has that magic shield earlier? No? Did I see that wrongly, or is that the skin, the Star Guardian skin? Not a magic shield. This is a Star Guardian skin effect.
Not sure. I'm not sure.
We'll see. Because it has the same color as a Banshee's Veil shield, so I got a bit confused. Oh.
Right. Just a bit of a crate, bit of a punch from AA and Rogi in the bottom lane, but as of yet, at the very least, even if Grindsky Eris is falling down behind, Yuji Min is still not that behind. Individually up against the top gold of One Snap Catalyst, which is Rogi, I believe, at 6.8, and Yuji Min is 6.2k gold. Not that far, at the very least.
Yeah, speaking of the gold, it's just a 2k gold deficit. And Grindsky, again, they do have, as long as she is able to farm up a Storm, they still can make it and make her a monster, especially when they get the Dragon Saber. But now with the Rift Herald spawning, we'll see now, because Rift Herald was taken first and it wasn't a trade, One Snap can do it again, get the Rift Herald, then wait a bit, go to Infernal. And I like this play from Grindsky. Like, might as well, we know that One Snap is an amazing team fight team. We'll just trade objectives, get control over bottom lane so that we have more space in Infernal.
Right. And now the big question is, when will Grindsky Eris force anything?
Now?
Because they picked up, okay, right now they're going for it. Chia 1 though, flash over the wall, back to safety. Now, going back to my question, because they picked up Janna, they picked up Graga, so expectedly, you're assuming that they picked these champions up for team fights, for a lot of engage, for a lot of disengage, for a lot of heals. But at the moment, I haven't seen a Monsoon from a Yappy in 10 minutes.
There was the one on the dragon fight, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save Chia's life. So I think the play on how they can execute is who's gonna deliver AA first into the back line or into the fight. It's either Hellgirl or Chia 1 after going into Dragon Form. So that is the sequence of skills. So we'll see if Hellgirl is able to get a good cast.
Alright, because right now One Snap Catalyst is already going through and trying to contest AA, going through with the ultimate as well into that. But Grindsky Eris will secure the Infernal Drake, but Hellgirl is already down. They're all pinned down, and Rogi is just having the life that she wants. Just free hitting onto enemy front lines, and triple kill already for Ken. That's too massive. They may get the Infernal Drake, but they lost 3 members in the process.
Yeah, they managed to get Infernal Drake. That's good news for Chia 1. But Ken, though, we know when an Ezreal gets ahead, there's a ward! Okay, John's fine. But we know when an Ezreal gets ahead in the game, and you're up against, well, relatively squishy members, I suppose. Galio is still pretty tanky, Hellgirl as well. But on paper, True Shot Barrage, once an Ezreal is ahead, it's very painful after a sequence of everything hitting. Mystic Shot, Arcane Shift, everything basically. But the question is, how do you even reach the Ezreal? Because I think that's the kicker. Now that Ken's ahead, all of these Arcane Shifts are gonna reset. You're gonna have a hard time reaching the back line, because on paper, this is an anti-Rogi composition. This is to deter Rogi from making any plays. But now that Ken's the ones ahead, this is a different story.
Oh no. Look at Rogi's position. This is a 4-man roam from Grindsky Eris. Looking to kill her, but...
Sorry. She did the emote, the laughing Malphite emote.
Well, it's all fun and games here, but right now it's very serious for Grindsky Eris. They're looking to go for an engage. Meteor Enchant is there already in the middle of the fight, and now Chia 1 is down. As One member gone for Grindsky. And now it's AA having to run for her life. But the root is there. Phenomenal CC as the double kill will be secured by Ken.
Crazy fight. Again, Ken, no one can reach Ken. Like, yes, Rogi, when she dives in, there's a lot of answers. There's a taunt. There's the cast. Everything, basically. Ayapi as well. But how about Ken? There is no backline access unless you deliver AA into the backline. Baron now.
Rogi though. He's waiting on the sidelines, waiting to go for the flank. Baron Nashor. He retreated by one snap catalyst. They don't want to force this fight.
They don't want to reset the Baron, but it's resetted already.
They are. We'll see. It's a 1v1. Rogi in the backside and Helga, but Chia 1 comes to the rescue. Wants to go in and be there. Respond. The flash from Chia 1 to just get back into safety. But look at the mechanics of Rogi. Just shuriken flip over the wall to miss and dodge. Dance skill.
They haven't reset it yet. They haven't went home to buy items yet, by the way. I mean, one snap.
Not gonna pull through though. They lost Rogi already. That's a 1-for-1 trade. I mean, just a while ago, just a highlight from Rogi, missing out the skills coming in from Grindsky Eris with a shuriken flip, getting the kill still. Just a player to be fearful for.
To the point that, you know, Grindsky had to draft this anti-Rogi composition. You know, the Gragas disengage, Jana disengage. You had to taunt the magic shield up against Rogi. But now, there's a different problem ahead. Ken! No one can reach Ken. There's always arcane shifting. He's always arcane shifting away. And your options for backline access is not a lot. Because this is more of, if Hellgirl is able to... Like, you're torn whether or not to save the explosive cast for disengage, or do you want it to be aggressive and then pull Ken in. But like, Ken has arcane shift for repositioning. She still has flash, by the way.
Yeah. So right now, we're gonna have a fight. Tier 1 goes in for the Dragon Form onto Navis. Navis is already down. But look at the AoE damage coming in from Morgana in the backside, coming in from Den. That's
legendary.
Just too much. And Grindsky Eris has lost Hellgirl in the process as support traded for the Baron laner.
Are we coming in to finish the kill? Once Chia's life.
Shroud onto the backside. Chia 1 is in danger. That's the 5-point strike going through. The ultimate is there as well, but not gonna be enough as Chia 1 is able to back away and retreat.
So what matters is Ken is still alive. She's legendary at this point. They're able to get another tower down. And the timing is perfect. The top lane, they have more space to work with. 19 seconds on the clock, denying more dragons away from Chia. Chia, no camps left to try and charge up her ultimate dragon form. So you see that's going to take a little bit of time. But now, Grindsky once more has to face this goal deficit, has to face someone which is not Rogi this time around. Rogi's still being a huge headache for Grindsky, but they have a bigger headache in this game number 3. It's Ken.
Yeah. When SE has information, the ward is there, perfectly placed. Now Grindsky Eris has to be a warrior. Navis already engaging that fight. It's a 3-man knockup coming through. Chia 1 already with a dragon form coming into the fight as well. Tries to turn it around, but Jones is already dead. Grindsky Eris will secure the Mountain Drake. Navis has to flash back away, but Rogi coming back in. They want to take this fight hand in hand, and Hellgirl is very low. Rogi takes that kill, and Navis coming back. Chia 1 has to flash back away. Every single one from DS Ares is 1 HP, and they have to retreat. They have to go back.
Ken has been safe for this True Shot Barrage coming up. Will she attempt a kill? Looks like that's gonna be a no. They've pretty much already cleaned up. A 6k gold lead on the side of one snap, while Grindsky has managed to secure an objective. But this story is now 80 carry versus 80 carry. Yuji Min is on a rampage, but Ken is legendary. She has been positioning so well in these fights. I wouldn't say not quite untouched, but because everyone's efforts from Grindsky is their mission now is to kill Ken. But so far, her positioning, her patience, her skill shots, not being too greedy to the point that so many members from Grindsky have been low because they keep retreating after getting Mystic shotted by Ken multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's all up to Rogi. If she's alive in an extended team fight, then that would have been disastrous for Grindsky.
Right. And One Snap's team fights are bulletproof.
Yes.
Like, Grindsky, Eris, what can you do at this point to be able to win it? Because one more team fight, this could end the game.
True. They've done it before in game number 2. Now they have Baron to use as bait. There are a lot of vision in the pit and as well as the Rift Scuttler. So now they're just eyeing for the Baron. They are in a very good position to win this game. But of course, comeback is possible for Grindsky because Yuji Min has also garnered her own gold for herself as well. So as long as Yuji Min is alive, and well, you can have a chance to win the team fight.
Jones positioning for a flank, but Hellgirl is there as well. Has that information, so a very risky play for both these teams because one wrong move, the Baron could be to the side of Grindsky Eris and they can make it back, equalizing the gold. And if One Snap wins it, they could end the game. So a lot of on the line at this point in time. They just have to be wary, but Jones is now in danger. That is Grindsky Eris opening in the loophole up against One Snap Catalyst. Jones is going back away. And Chio 1 uses up their Dragon Form, follows up with a flash to just catch up. Jones is already down. A member disadvantage for One Snap Catalyst. And now Rogi just comes back in, but she gets melted right when she enters. She cannot breathe. And now Grindsky Eris has the advantage. They're bringing one by one down. This might be the opening for GS to make it back.
I would have thought that they might get the Baron, but that's 30 seconds on the clock. Jungler's still alive. Now they have to go back. 20 seconds for the Elder Drake to spawn. And now it is the job for Ken to be that gatekeeper. Den to be that gatekeeper. Now they get the Scuttler too. Mid lane's still open, by the way. So Grindsky has to work through that first.
The delay should be there, but instead of going for objectives, since there's 3 seconds on the clock for the Elder Drake, they're really prioritizing the turrets to equalize the map control. In fact, have more map control up against One Snap Catalyst, as that's a tier 2 turret down in the mid lane.
Now they're trying their best to crawl their way back. Like, even though Ken is legendary, Ken still has to hit Hellgirl AA before they can hit UG Min. And Rogi, this anti-Rogi composition has been working out so far. Rogi is having a difficult time finding her targets, especially Eugene is the primary target right now. And now the story of this fight, this team fight. Which AD carry falls first will be the team that falls. Rogi making her way now to the dragon. Elder Drake, whoever gets this Elder Drake will win. Whoever eliminates the AD carry first will win.
Absolutely, but it's going to be difficult. The positions of the AD carries are just too far back, so you have to find a way to gain access onto those backlines.
On paper,
2 objectives up.
Yeah, 2.
Everyone's up. Yeah.
On paper, it is both difficult to attack Yuji Min. It is both difficult to attack Ken as well, because double disengage for the side of Grindsky. Ken very slippery as an Ezreal. Now, Guardian Angel for Ken. No Guardian Angel for Yuji Min. That is the biggest difference. We talk about the win conditions. Whoever gets to kill the AD carry first will win the game. Now Ken has a second life.
Yeah. Right now, once again, Grindsky Eris starting the dragon will not pull through. It is just a dangerous task for every single one. It might be the longest game we've seen in the series so far. 22 minutes into the matchup already. Once again, so you said a while ago, one team fight win would win the whole game.
Scuttler secured now by One Snap. And mid lane will be crucial, by the way. Because whoever wins this team fight, someone or the team will potentially go march down. Hellgirl, see the top lane.
Yeah.
They're starting it.
There's a member disadvantage for Grindsky Eris. Looking for that One Snap Catalyst. Starts the Elder Drake, but Hellgirl's already here.
Top lane is pushing.
Let's see a turnaround by 1SE. It's pushing indeed. The turret is slowly falling down bit by bit. If that's open, that's natural lane pressure and advantage for 1SE.
It's down.
Don't though. Silences Hellgirl. It's already down in the turret. Gone.
Here's the
Rogi in danger. And now it's a fight occurring. Trio 1 in the middle of this fight. It's one snap catalyst in the middle of it all. Ayapi is already gone. And Rogi just assassinating the backlines. This is what we're talking about. The backlines is going to be very important. And one snap catalyst has broken them down. They get the ace. And one snap catalyst. Well, Trio 1, I'm being too fast. I'm being too quick. Trio 1's still alive. But there you go.
They want the
They're
Nexus.
pushing it.
They want the
The
championship.
back-to-back
Infinity.
champions, the fourth to hoist the championship title. It's one snap catalyst winning up against the Grindsky Eris for the grand finals.
What an intense series. The first two matches from One Snap against Grindsky have been incredibly dominant. And now this game 3 was incredibly close. But game 1 and game 2, Rogi was the headache rather. Was the bane of Grindsky. And now Ken, untouchable, 0 deaths, the MVP, and was legendary. What a crazy display of teamfight action and teamfight prowess coming from One Snap.
Yeah, and as we stated, 1T fight, it's over. And 1SE did that phenomenally. And look at the damage of Ken. 51k.
What? That's insane. That is how much damage Ken dealt in these team fights. And I have no words. This is One Snap's ability to get these 5v5s down, the mechanics of decision making, the way that they focus target, and the way that they execute their composition. Just amazing skills from One Snap Catalyst.
Right. And it's back-to-back champions for One Snap Catalyst on a different name, because priorly it was Chuaa, but One Snap Catalyst brought them in, and you have a change in composition. You have GSGA, or former GSGA, coming to the team as well, and they're just bulletproof. They won 3-0 in the grand finals compared to last season where it was a 5-game grand final. So just phenomenal play coming in from One Snap Esports.
Yeah, and it just shows how much they've grown as a team, how much they've grown for the entirety of the FSL Wild Rift Open, well, 4 right now, and the previous FSL. So it's very, very incredibly nice to watch their growth as a team, but also their individual growth as well. You know, we've gotten to see this past week in Rogi's amazing execution on the Akali, on Assassin Champions. Her mechanics are flawless. And as well as Kale, her performance on the Kale as well. And now we get Ken, who's able to dish out killer skill shots and damage on this Ezreal for the final game. The game winning, well, game 3 in this best of 5 series. Congratulations to One Snap Catalyst.
Absolutely fantastic. Still commendable plays from Grindsky Eris, performing to their best here in this series for the grand finals. It's a 3-0 win. So before we actually end, let's look at the brackets. Who's the top 1? Who's top 2? Who's top 3? Who's top 4? So of course, top 1.
What's that?
You have your champions. It's One Snap Esports Catalyst. For your top 2, you have Grindsky Eris. And for your top 3 and top 4, it is MXH Lotus Ladies, who got the 3rd place, and Sharper Esports, who got the 4th place. So respectively, their prize pool is 550 SGD. For One Snap, Grindsky got 250 SGD, 135 SGD for MXH Lotus Ladies, and Sharper Esports got 75 SGD.
Yep, so Ree not only the cash prize, but also getting the glory of being named champions of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. Crazy performance. Again, I guess to summarize what we've seen, what we've witnessed from One Snap Catalyst is that their coordination, 5v5 team fights, and as well as the way that they control the early game, to be patient enough to wait for objectives so that they can combine as 5 and fight as a team.
Yeah, I mean, the team fightings alongside with their draft, bulletproof, for One Snap Esports Catalyst. So expecting a lot of things for the future seasons if ever it comes down to it. So really amazing stuff for the grand finals, especially here for FSL Wild Rift Open 4. And of course, this would not be possible without Yahoo and Intel. So thank you very much to our sponsors. And Riku, last thoughts or last words before we end our tournament today.
I just want to say that their performance, everybody's performance, have been. Congratulations to One Snap Catalyst once again. Really amazing performance, and then showing of their biggest strength, which is team fight. And I'm excited to see them more, and excited to see more of the teams as well that engaged in the FSL Wild Rift Open. And now seeing the growth of these teams and these players are very inspiring for sure for all women gamers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. FSL Premier Women's Gaming Circuit Tournament organizers. So thank you very much, FSL, of course, for making this tournament as a whole. I'm Infinity. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And this is Riku beside me. We're signing off. And that is your FSL Wild Rift Open 4.
Let me go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly. Let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. Space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric.
There's no doubt, gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. my time. Watch me build another life. Find another space. Explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away. We won't see another day. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait. I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On the new adventure. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On the new adventure.
I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine.